Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxxTV's podcast 334. Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, alongside Johnny V. Keeping it casual tonight, are we?
I am. I didn't. So this morning, woke up, as you know, 4, 5, 6 inches of snow, maybe a little bit more even, depending on where you're at. I had some drifts as high as about a foot and a half next to my house. So I woke up and I just thought, just get some breakfast in me, get out and snow blow. And so I got out. It stopped snowing about 9:30ish, 10. Got out and did that. Was working until then, and then sat down at my computer and barely left until about 5:30. And I thought I could shower and we get ready for the show. You know what? We're an audio medium, so
Yeah, great.
So I didn't bother. I'm unshowered today.
Yeah, I wasn't even. I didn't need to ask. That's the best part. I didn't need to ask. I also took advantage of walking up your neighbor's walk because it seemed as if the shoveling maybe wasn't fully complete. So I parked just next door so that I could use your neighbor's walkway, who shoveled fully to all the way to the apron, and then a little bit additional. Oh, so I'm not saying it was a sloppy kid job. I'm just saying
it was a sloppy
I'd
kid
send
job.
him back out there. I'd get him out of bed right now.
Well,
you drag him outside in his shorts, and you say you finished the damn job.
He sleeps fully clothed.
Okay,
it's very strange. That's how. I mean, he's a kid. He just lays down and he sleeps. But I told him earlier. I'm like, you need to get outside. You didn't have any sort of gym or class or activity today, so shoveling would be a good thing for you. So why don't you go shovel the stairs? I kind of meant the whole thing. Just take care of the sidewalk and do all that too. He's like, oh, okay, Dad. And he walks out, no complaints, does it. But I did not check to see if he went from the front sidewalk to the road. He missed that.
No, he got the little apron spot, but that kind of it.
Yeah. Not a great job. We'll clean it up tomorrow.
It was not a top-notch effort. A kid that is not showing pride in his shoveling
he definitely
acumen.
Is not. Definitely is not.
I only say that because I remember walking around. I found one not too long ago. I remember walking around in the winter around our neighborhood and literally handing out a Post-it note that was folded in half, because scratch paper was too tough. So I had a Post-it note, and on half of it was my name, and then you folded it, and on the underside, once you turned it over, it just had my phone number, and I might have said snow shoveling or something like that. And I remember walking around and getting a number of accounts, I guess we'll call them that, getting a number of accounts that was all about snow shoveling. So I loved my snow shoveling. I loved, obviously, the idea of making money. This is when I was 10, 11, 12, something like that in my neighborhood. Yeah. And, of course, some of these people were then the same customers that I would then mow lawns for. And it's funny, I live in a condo that takes care of all of our shoveling and snow removal. Mm-hmm. And some nights, like the last snowfall, I got home at 2 in the morning. I was like, I'll shovel. I kind of miss it. When you don't have to do it.
When you don't have to do it,
it makes it easier. I know that. But some nights I'll get out there and shovel just for old time's sake, even if I don't have to.
I don't mind.
I love it.
I don't mind shoveling the front, the sidewalk, or to the road. We live on an alley. The alley sucks because there's a ton of cars that come in and out, so it just packs it down if you don't get to it right away. Not the best situation, but I have a bad snowblower, which barely works and does
Sounds like your kid barely works.
Well, both.
All right, tonight should be a great time. If it's not, we blame the guest, because that's what we can do here. We're going to have Paul Ulibarri joining us actually in just a few moments. We're going to catch up with him. He's got a lot of exciting stuff going on. And I don't know if all of this is if some of this is an exclusive or not, but we know he's got some big stuff going on, and super excited to talk to him and hear more about it. And then other big news that broke today, of course, the PDGA announcing that we're going to see a new major in the 2022 season. And the internet was talking about it. Now, I'll be the first to admit I did not digest all of it. The little snapshot of response that I saw to it, there was a little confusion and not as much excitement maybe as I would have expected to see from it. So we're going to have on none other than the tournament director in Robert Leonard, affectionately known as MTL. We will have him joining us, and we appreciate both of our guests. Keep in mind, they're both coming, actually I think from the same state of North Carolina, coming from the East Coast tonight, so both of them are getting a late night start on things, and so we're really gracious and thankful to those guys joining us here tonight. Then we'll probably talk about some other news that we may or may not have seen. Of obviously, the last few pieces of the puzzle in terms of sponsorships have been kind of announced and talked about over the last couple days or the last week or two. There's still a little bit of fallout and conversation that's going on. Ezra, James, both being part of those conversations, but it seems like things are all kind of simmering down, and now it's just a waiting game. We also saw a few more details released, I think, for the Disc Golf Pro Tour All-Stars weekend taking place out there in Fountain Hills. And Fountain Hills, then we head over to Vegas. We'll see still quite a few people head over to the Memorial, then Waco, and so on and so forth. So the event, the craziness of the tour is about to get at it. And I think, speaking of getting at it, do we have them ready in the Baron Digital Green Room?
No, we're calling him up right now.
Oh, we're going to call him up. That's a good idea. We'll call up Paul. I know Paul's mom, Pat, is out there watching. Probably her brother, Pete. Again, huge shout out to Pete for all the help that he's given me in these last couple of events with getting some coverage. And
it feels strange having him on during the regular show.
I know. He's kind of an after show kind of feller.
He really is. But now that he's an East Coaster,
yeah, we can't make him wait all night.
He can't stay up that late.
Real quick preview too. I'm super excited to be heading out to Maricopa in just a couple of days. I mean, we're talking about all this snowfall. I think Arizona, parts of California got a little snow in the last few days. Mm-hmm. And I said, oh, that's cute, as everyone's taking pictures and losing their mind. And rightfully so. Stephen Miller, I think it was from Arizona, replied to one of my messages saying, yeah, that's cute. Like when you say it's hot in Wisconsin in the summer. I'm like, all right, valid. Well played. Well played. Yeah. You're right. Keeping all the conditions in consideration relative to where we're at. But Maricopa this weekend, super excited. A round of 27 over at Copper Sky, and then a round of 27 over at the Meadows course. I get to see Javier and Amy Jo and so many amazing Arizona peeps. I feel like I was just there because I was. So I'm excited for that.
It showed he was online, so we're calling him up right now. So
we're going to see if we can get Paul on the line here. Oh, I'm going to check my messages. Sometimes, yep, Skype is the way to go. Yep. Just getting confirmation. I told him we'd have him on just a few minutes after the show opens, and hopefully he'll be ready to go here in a moment.
Another thing while we wait for Paul, that was announced today. The San Francisco Open is no longer called the San Francisco Open. It is now the OTB Open.
Thanks, Obama.
No, OTB.
Oh,
OTB. Different.
I don't know. I think I can.
And it's being moved to Stockton.
Okay, thanks, Bush.
Stockton.
Yes, we did see that. I think there was a press release, as you mentioned, maybe this afternoon that it came out that we saw it's going to be moving northbound. I think Stockton's about 90 minutes north. A little bit northeast, maybe?
Yep, a little northeast.
Of San Francisco, which will be exciting. I've never seen or had any part of anything going on in that area. Of course, I know they've had U.S. Women's and, huge club, huge scene, great events, all these types of things happening. It's just a specific area that I have not had any part of whatsoever. So it will be exciting to see that as part of the Disc Golf Pro Tour. Do you think it's any cheaper than being in San Francisco?
Yes, 100%.
Because everywhere.
Literally, it's like 100% cheaper.
Just in general. So that's some big news. Shout out OTB. Shout out to the Shawns and everyone, for making that happen. And I just have to think, and maybe this is a good question for them, is how much of that, I don't want to say it was forced, but like, was that just the obvious, kind of plan ahead, thinking that we might have more challenges in San Francisco this year with COVID, obviously California in general. I wonder if that was just kind of a, hey, let's just do this here and now, because it may be avoiding problems that we would otherwise see in March or April or
correct.
Or
I know there was some
concerns
just
pre-planning
about even COVID whenever this was going to hit. So they just wanted to make sure that it was going to go off. And I think OTB, I don't know if they're located out of Stockton themselves or if they're pretty close to there. I know they're doing some big things.
Yeah, that's funny. I feel like I know. I don't want to guess. I feel like I'm not positive where exactly.
I listened to
somebody give me their address.
I listen to their podcast on occasion, but I couldn't tell you where they're from.
All right. So, of course, thank you guys for joining in on the board. I'm getting another message here. We'll see if that's Uli himself. He says, "Can you look up Paul Ulibarri?" Well, we can, Paul. We could try and dial you on the Skypes. To be fair, there's going to be a special day in SmashBoxxTV land where it'll be officially just obliterating Skype. It's kind of been the go-to for us and our guests now for 6 or 7 years, and Paul's been on the show almost more than anyone else. So I would like to think he has it dialed in. But at some point, when there's a more consistent, better option to Skype, I think we'll eventually transition to that. The problem is, that's been, as crazy as it sounds, that's been the most stable and consistent one that we've had throughout all these years. We just need our guests to remember what their logins are. I feel like that's probably the number one problem.
It really, honestly,
I have like 9 Skype accounts.
Valid.
Okay.
I have like 4.
I think I have 2 or 3 myself.
So,
but then again, I was a Skype OG.
Yeah.
I mean, right when Skype came out, 1990. Was it the late 90s?
No.
Early 2000s.
Yeah, it was.
I don't know. All right, so we are getting confirmation though, as we're waiting on Yuli, that yes, OTB is in Stockton.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought.
Also, Matthew says the Delta Windjammers throw great tourneys. Sam Martin has a valid question: does Paul Ulibarri or Steve Rico have more Skype accounts? That is a that's a valid question as well. And Carolina Chainbanger, we see out there, says he loves Yuli. Hopefully, we'll love Yuli enough that we'll be able to get him on here. And Carolina Chainbanger, thank you for being one of our many wall mini supporters, live audience supporters. Hopefully, your mini showed up in the last day or two, because I know I shipped that out not too long ago. So hopefully, that's arrived to you. All right. So Yuli is messaging me saying, so it keeps coming through my phone. Can you accept a call from me? It won't come through my computer.
Well, here, we can do that. Try that one instead, Paul.
All right, we've sent him a message via the Facebooks.
Is that what you're messaging him on?
No, he's texting me. The joys. Have it. We'll do it live.
You could send that to him right there.
You're sending me stuff.
I am.
This is, guys. If you want to know, if you want to get in on this email train or this text train, just let me know. I'll send you a text. Yep. All right, here we go. I'm going to send him that.
Anyone else want to join? I can send you the link as well.
All right, I have sent him a link, and we'll see if we're able to get him in here and updated. Also, real quick, I have had the pleasure of going to the MIDI Disc Golf Putting League that's now, I think, transpired twice. They're going to have another one tomorrow night, so if you're in the Milwaukee area, they're actually going to be on the south of Milwaukee, outside of Milwaukee, in terms of being in Muskego. Those guys are doing good things, and just a little bit of a shout-out, giving everybody a chance to safely find an establishment. They do have to limit how many people can play, but they've been finding these various establishments that are all set up for the next few months in terms of going out and having a little bit of a putting competition. And as I messaged the other day, one of them is literally across the street from where Johnny V works, when he's not at home in his pajamas. In my pajamas. Wednesdays and Thursdays are my work from home day, man. And today was, because it was really snowy. And Tuesdays and Tuesdays. What's are we gonna have more snow this week? This weekend, yeah. More snow is coming. It better not snow in Arizona again when I'm there. Or yeah, better not snow while I'm there. Yeah, I've officially moved on with my life, and have put the Packers behind me, and yes, we're looking forward to baseball season now. Yeah, the putting league that I was just referencing actually was starting moments after, as the game was concluding the other night. And, of course, you and I being here in Wisconsin. Here's what I'll say. Of course, I didn't watch every single second, every moment 100% intently, but I definitely watched the game. And there seems to be a lot of frustrations about play calling or penalty calling, which is funny because early on in the game, well, not so early, maybe second quarter, at one point the announcers had said, you know what, there hasn't been a single penalty called. And I thought that, and then of course minutes later there was the first one of the game, but that might have been second quarter already. And then it sounded like some people were complaining, and I will say this all day long. There's always going to be calls that I feel like can go both ways. And if you get hung up on calls all the time, I mean, unfortunately, that's the nature of
don't let it be
humans
don't let it
and
be that
B
close.
Sports.
Don't let it be that close.
And don't let it be that close.
I know we're a disc golf podcast here, but obviously big Packer fans. And if that last call had to be made, it was just unfortunate that they weren't making that call the rest of the game, but it's the right call to be made. And by the officials, and the Packers should have gone for it instead of kicking the field goal anyway. So
I totally agree with that. And Dave's out on the board, says, "Is it always this boring here?" No, to be fair, we're
filling time right now.
We're stalling here because we're trying to adjust with Yuli, who we really thought would be on here 12 minutes ago. So I do apologize. We didn't have a lot of other stuff lined up because
he's one of the few guests that we don't test with, because normally he hops right on and he's good to go. But I know he's using a computer right now instead of probably his
phone,
his field goal. Yeah,
so,
or his phone. As I read the word field goal, as he sees, I read it and it came out of my mouth.
We shouldn't have been using the field goal, is what you're talking about.
Correct.
All right. Yeah. Big shout out. I do want to say I made a post today. It was a year ago today that I had wrapped up with Maricopa footage, and then had the pleasure of again flying over to Thailand for the Samui Swine. The Samui Swine is taking place still. Unfortunately, instead of 150 or nearly 200 people between the AMs and the Pro weekend, I think there's a couple dozen, because obviously pretty much everyone is from already in Thailand or on the island of Koh Samui. I know you have to quarantine for 14 days and go jump through a bunch of other hoops. So the event is still going on. Best of luck to all the competitors out there, and just know that we certainly love and miss you guys. And trust me, I miss the idea of coming in from Koh Samui to be able to do a podcast from an island in Thailand as opposed to being here. So best of luck to everybody out there. Paul says call him again,
right,
Johnny.
We're going to give it a shot.
We will try this yet one more time and see if we can get Paul Ulibarri here on the show. If not, we may call an audible and head to our second guest first, and then see if we get Paul later. That might be an option.
Looks like there he is.
Hold
on 1 second while I make one little adjustment here.
This guy, he had to do hair and makeup. That's the problem. Looks like we might have him ready, coming in just a moment. Stall.
There we are.
Is finished. All right. Our Disc Baron Digital Green Room. he was there quite a while. Paul Ulibarri.
Sorry about that, guys.
It's all right.
All good, buddy. All good.
So that was tough. I got a new computer and I didn't have it downloaded on here, I guess. And then I finally got it done, signed into an opposite account. My regular stuff. I haven't learned anything, and even I've been coming on Smash for 10 years. I still have no clue how to work this thing.
Well, I have a question, maybe industry secret here. Every week you are on Showmez. What do you guys do to connect up to there? Is that Skype or is that?
Hey, you know what? They dumb it down pretty good for me to where they just send me a link. I click on that thing and then I do my best. So
they're using like OBS Ninja or something.
I'm bad with them too. Like I got a new webcam. I get on their show. It's all blurry. Have no clue how to fix it, and then I just have to go back to the generic phone thing usually. So.
Well, sometimes if you get a little too fancy, it comes back as we get the backdrop, we got the lights. Tap on your mic. You got your mic plugged in? We working off that mic tonight?
He is.
Okay, good.
Hey!
And I only say that, big shout out to you, Yuli. Yesterday, you and I had a quick conversation in the morning, and then next thing you know, Yuli says, hey, I can help out with some of that bonus Ledgestone footage you have that's just hanging out for months. Mm-hmm. And we hammered out 2.5 rounds of commentary. So rounds 2, 3, and 4 of Ledgestone, we got Yuli all up and running, and it sounds pretty good for remote commentary. So
is that gonna be like? I mean, everybody likes to have like a mixed name. Is it gonna be the Tearberry? Is that what we're getting?
There's a lot of places we could go with that, Yuli.
I don't know. Everybody seems to have some sort of.
Let's just keep it kosher. Let's save that for the after show, huh?
All right, Yuli. So as I was just alluding to, and as you talk about, you're a busy individual, and very. Maybe what's even better about that is you're trying to either reinvent or progress or get newer, bigger, better all the time. What's in the hopper right now? What are you working on? What kind of things are keeping you busy and off the PDGA website at the moment? What other things are you doing?
Everything, man. I mean, I give lessons all the time. Luckily, we had a rain day yesterday, and that's why I was able to get on and do a bunch of stuff with you, because I had everybody canceled because it was all raining here. So I had a few free hours, and it was a fun conversation, Terry. You and I are very similar in a lot of ways. How we, I really enjoyed our chat. How we like to stay busy, but we don't like to schedule a lot of things. And I guess that's something I never really knew about you, and I can completely relate. So, no, I give a lot of lessons around here. I been obviously working on my YouTube channel. You guys were there when I first launched it, and I'm up to 31,000 subscribers, which is kind of surreal and crazy how fast that kind of progressed. And I'm proud of myself because I really kept with it. It's one of those things that people don't know how hard that is to be consistent and post every week. Consistent content, and it's really difficult. So I have a newfound perspective with that, but like I said, I'm proud of myself. I've kept it growing, and so that takes a lot of my time. I'm kind of a big deal now. I got my own editor. I don't even have to edit my stuff anymore. I hired an editor to where I send him content, and then he gets it done. So
well, it just speak to how tough editing is, and
impossible. It's literally the worst thing ever of all time. I hate it.
It's not for everyone, though. Really, it's just clearly not for everyone, right? Is that a good way to put it?
No, you're 100% right. I mean, I was able to do my down the fairways, and I called Johnny like 10 times, 15 times, just trying to get anything to like make it easier. Like I couldn't even open the program. I was so bad at it. I'm like, dude, what am I doing? It was awful, but I got good enough to where I could do that. And then finally I got to a place where after like 30 something episodes, I'm like, okay, I'm kind of running out of ideas. I need to start putting more content as far as playing. That's what everybody really likes, is to see us out there playing a little bit, practice rounds or whatnot. So hired an editor, and a good buddy of mine from that I grew up with. He's really good, and I send him the footage and he takes care of it. And yeah, I mean, things are going smooth with that. And that's just one of the things, so I got my lessons. I got the edited thing, or my YouTube channel kind of going. Thursdays I have Showmez. What else? I've been working on a thing that I wanted to announce tonight with you guys. It's a project that I've been working on with some people here in Charlotte in the off season. It's called From Scratch to Scratch. And it's
cooking
a show.
Cooking.
It's a show where I cook for everybody, and I make these beautiful meals. No, I'll leave that show for my mom.
I was just gonna say,
my mom is the cook. Yeah, she's the talented cook in the family, and so she does that. But no, so just a little background on what that is. Scratch to Scratch is like a concept that I got. I've had this idea for a long time. I give a lot of lessons, and I thought it would be cool to document me taking somebody who's never played and see if I can turn them into a scratch disc golfer, or just document the lessons basically. And I had a meeting with some local guys here who own Another Round, which is a disc golf shop here in Charlotte. Really cool guys. Joseph Phillips and Kyle, who owned the shop. We had like a meeting, and then all of a sudden I went to them and I said, hey, I just want to figure out a way. If there's a new guy that comes in who's never played before, could you throw him my way so I could, get in touch with them and maybe do this just like generic, my own little camera and see if I could go somewhere with it. And they like jumped on the idea, and they're like, oh no, we know like a film crew that could help. And I know this guy that's like perfect for it. And after literally one lunch with these guys, I had one more meeting, and then I had a set date to film, and I had this whole thing getting produced with like a professional film crew with $500,000 in equipment, 8 guys on the set, some guy I'd never met before who was totally down and who's a super cool guy. His name's Trevor Sikkema, and he is a professional podcaster, so he does a lot of podcasts for college athletes moving into professional football. So he's a football podcaster, and he works with like a lot. I don't want to misspeak when I say that he works for like Fox Sports, but I know he does like 9 to 10 podcasts per week in this. So he's like a big deal when it comes to the sports world. So very cool guy, very well spoken, charismatic, and all of a sudden I had my idea kind of come into life, and we filmed the first one, and a month and a half later I have 4 of them filmed. I film the final episode here in about 2 weeks, and so I'm super excited. I mean, I've never produced really anything or wrote a script or any of this stuff, and so all new. But I mean, yeah, I did it. I think I sent you guys the trailer, which I wanted you guys to show. So
yeah, we can show that right now if you'd like.
Yeah,
let's
before we get to it, my one question, and we'll talk more about it. But my one question is, on a scale of 1 to 10, you talk about his background, and I think I've seen it, that he seems like an athletic guy, but 1 to 10, like, what do you feel like his natural ability to throw a disc or to get involved and pick up a new sport? What do you feel like that was for him?
What was his natural ability?
Yeah, like you look at someone, you're like, yeah.
That's something that I'm going to save for the show, but
okay.
I don't want to give too much away of how good he was or how good he's going to be or anything like that. I'm going to save that for the show because that's going to be part of it, and just watch this clip and then we can kind of get into some more stuff.
All right, here we go. This is Paul Ulibarri's trailer for Scratch to Scratch.
Paul Ulibarri. I am a professional disc golfer / coach. I've been playing professionally for 15 years. Scratch to Scratch is a concept where I take an absolute beginner and turn them into a scratch disc golfer. I feel like I can make somebody who's really bad into at least decent. I mean, I took myself and I made myself decent. I was awful when I first started.
Hey, I'm Trevor Sikkema. Don't have a lot of disc golf experience. I know that disc golf has been exploding in popularity. I'm really excited to get to work with Paul and see what happens from there.
I mentioned that earlier, that I like to compete. I'm going to be very competitive with like trying to get this guy to where he wants to be and where I want him to be as well. I'm optimistic, but at the same time in the back of my mind, I got to be prepared to where if Trevor's like awful.
Very nice. And wow, who's under more pressure, you or Trevor?
Oh, me. Oh, for sure me.
It is your show. It is your show. Okay.
Oh man, yeah. So that's it. I mean, as you can see, the quality is right there and really high, which is one of the things I wanted to really capture in this series. Is I wanted to bring something to disc golf, and I feel like, my whole career I've put out a real high quality product, and I wanted to keep that with this. And basically bring the disc golf world in on what it takes to, this guy has a teacher who has a lot of assets, and I bring those all kind of in on this show. And I feel like it's going to be a good tool for people just coming in. I think it's a perfect time, especially with COVID, how there's a bunch of people just kind of jumping into disc golf and they have no idea how to get better. They're watching YouTube clips, and I feel like that can be very generic and boring, about watching like a clinic and another clinic, and then that guy's saying this, and then this guy's saying that, and you can really kind of go down a wormhole of being just completely bored. And so I wanted to come up with something that was entertaining. Not only, I feel like, other professionals are going to watch this and be entertained. So I'll catch the audience as far as that goes. And then, of course, this is hopefully going to help, like I said, beginners coming into the sport and have like a really well-produced, fun series to where they can take the tips that I give Trevor and hopefully improve. So, I mean, there's a lot of things right there, a lot of talking points, but I mean, that's basically the gist of it.
Well, I want to get to a nuts and bolts real quick. I think the maybe the most important questions are, how long is the series, and then where and when can they find it? I think those are that's the nuts and bolts.
So the series is going to be a 5-episode series. I'm filming the season finale here coming up on the 6th, like I said. Where it's going to be found as of right now, I'm being pulled a few different ways, but I really want to release it on my YouTube channel, and that's been the goal the whole time. I felt like the Down the Fairways and all of that, and my fans really kind of inspired me to do this, and so I felt like that they should have the first kind of take at this. But I mean, it's not off the tables for Netflix to come at me, or maybe some of our guys at the Pro Tour can hook me up with the CBS Sports or
in-flight entertainment. I mean, I could watch it on a plane, Delta or Southwest. They'll install TVs in Southwest just so that we can see your series.
For sure. So, no, I want to have it on my YouTube channel. I really do, for those reasons. But I'm open to suggestions moving forward because it is I'm not just saying it, it's a very high quality product. Mm-hmm. And I want to get it out to as many people as possible. But I also want people to understand that it took a lot to make this, and it is high quality. So, however, I have to get with my people and figure out what the best avenue to do that.
He's politely saying, "Show me the money." That's what I'm assuming. That's what I'm hearing Kuba saying here. Show me the money. Show me the money.
I think it's great, to be honest. Mm-hmm. Are you dropping them all 5 episodes at once? You're going to dole them out a week at a time? What's the?
My plan is to dole them out. I want, like I said, I want to kind of make it give traction. So I'll go into that a bit farther. I want, this isn't a one-time thing. I want this to. I want to have multiple seasons of this. My big dream is to get like a Bubba Watson on this thing, or somebody famous, somebody very entertaining to where we can get this a bit bigger. And I'm not afraid in saying that that's a goal of mine because that was the main objective. I got inspired by the Haney Project. I watched every one of those episodes, and I always thought hey man, this could be really cool if we could do this with disc golf. It just, we never had the opportunity, first of all, and disc golf was never in a place to where it was even really a thought. But I feel like it's been growing so fast, just with all of the social media and how everybody's kind of stuck at home right now with, COVID and everybody having to quarantine here and there for 2 weeks at a time. And people are just begging for more content online, and so I want, that's what my main goals are is to make sure that there's multiple seasons and multiple and just high expectations, high goals for it.
Well, I think that's what you do. You get that first season out, let everyone see it, prove the quality, and then season 2 through 52, highest bidder, baby. If Disc Golf Pro Tour wants it behind their paywall, make them pay. If you want to put it on Hulu or Netflix or whomever, wherever you're going with that.
Yeah. What I want to then follow that up with is, YouTube content, all of those types of things. You've also partnered, and again, this is out of the realm for Johnny and I, is fair to say, but you've partnered up and collabed and been hanging out with Michael Holt. Is that right?
Yes.
Is that his name, right?
Mm-hmm.
He goes by Molt. He's a really big deal when it comes to gaming. He's got over 2 million, is it 2 million subs on his gaming channel, and now he's kind of taking on a lifestyle / disc golf / other hobbies channel as well that he's trying to grow. But he's a pretty big deal in the gaming world. How did that all come about, that you guys are playing some golf and doing some videos together?
Yeah, so actually when I went and I did the collab with Simon over there in Massachusetts, he mentioned Michael, and he said, hey, there's a guy actually in Charlotte who has a big time disc golf channel that he didn't know what he did with it before or whatever, or how he got it. But that kind of put me on the radar of Michael. And then I believe he reached out and I didn't know who he was. And when I looked up his name, we had actually already exchanged a couple messages with each other. And so I reached out and I was like, hey, man, if you ever want to, do a little collab for our channels, like, let's do it. And then, we just kind of hit it off. I mean, he's an awesome guy. Very, very well spoken, all buttoned up. And he's a household name in the gaming industry. He's the real deal with what he does. And so he has really great editing skills as well. So the filming thing for him, is really easy for him. And he does a really good job too of having sort of this brand of, hey, I'm not the best disc golfer, but I want to bring good content to you guys. And he's very passionate about it, and that's something that I really like and I can relate to. So yeah, it's been an awesome kind of friendship that we've kind of grown over the last couple weeks.
Yeah, I was watching one of his, I don't know if it was his full-blown gaming channel or his secondary gaming channel, but like you said, he certainly is comfortable in front of a camera, and he's so much more than just playing and entertaining people that way. He obviously is very charismatic. And, just getting to know him a little bit through watching his channel, that's really awesome that, you guys are teaming up and doing all sorts of stuff. And so I guess my other question would be, is he's past the point of being maybe a subject or a contestant on your new series, because he's already...
I think the series could go either direction. I mean, you could start out with a beginner, but someone had made the joke about throw Johnny in there. Someone or like my skill, a 930 to anywhere 940,
Absolutely.
50 rated player, and just say, hey, these are all the mistakes you're making. Look, you're not
Sure.
You're not turning your hips, and go through a series like that. I don't think you're limiting yourself to people that are just picking up a disc.
Yeah, and that's another thing I want to let people know. Like this isn't an accident of finding somebody who's a beginner. I wanted to prove my coaching skills is one of the main reasons why I did this. Is you can't go and just automatically teach Bubba Watson how to play golf. There's plenty of coaches in disc golf who, they'd probably rather be taught by. But if I can prove to, the world that I can take somebody like this and you can see his progression, now all of a sudden I have something backing me. And then these guys can trust that, the things I'm teaching, the way that I'm doing it is a correct way of doing it. It might not be everybody's perfect way, but that's the reason why I did this. Like I said, of course I would have loved to hey, I want to coach like the best guy ever and see if I can make this dude into 1,000 rated golfer. That's not what I wanted to do. First, I wanted to legitimize my coaching ability. And then I want, to move past that area. And maybe next year I do the same thing. Maybe I take another beginner and try to work with them. But I think like Johnny said, I think it can go any direction. And after this first season, hopefully that opens the door to all those different avenues.
I mean, imagine this. Imagine being able to do something, like I said, someone of our caliber, or a high school athlete, someone like a senior in high school who is naturally gifted but has never touched a disc? What can you do with that? Or I'll throw the 80s term out there, a total nerd, someone who has no natural ability, and see what you can progress with that after X amount of weeks. There are so many different avenues I think you could take this type of series after the proof of concept.
Absolutely, for sure.
Yeah, I like that, and excited to see. Do you have? I know you're about to put the film the final episode. When is your ideal time to drop this? And maybe you have some new negotiations to start thinking about and talking about. But when are you really projecting to drop the first episode somewhere?
I'm not stressing about the negotiations at all.
Okay.
I need to make sure, the number one thing is I want to make sure that it's produced the right way. And so there's a lot of editing going on, and I've seen a little bit of it. I mean, from the trailer, I'm working with an amazing crew. Joseph Phillips is helping me kind of co-produce it in a way that like we get the point across. So it could take a while, but I just wanted to kind of let everybody know that it's back here and to start getting the hype going, because I think it's, I'm not going to let it out unless it's exactly how I want it to be. And so the release date is still to be determined.
Okay. Well, it obviously is exciting. We appreciate you giving us the inside SmashBoxx TV exclusive here.
Always.
We appreciate that, of course. And I know everyone out there watching is. I know your mom, probably your brother are watching as well. Mm-hmm. What were some of the, your brother's very analytical, for instance. He's getting a little bit more into the filming and the YouTube. I watched, I think, literally every video he's got on his channel the other night after him and I had a quick chat. What were some of the back and forth with someone like your brother? What kind of feedback and thoughts did you guys share? Did you guys kind of get in depth about this concept?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I told him, I tell my brother all my ideas and all my crazy things that I'm trying to do and everything. And my brother he's so good at like calming me down and being like, all right, here's what you need. You need to calm down and take it step by step. He was excited. He's like, he's so supportive in the way that it wouldn't matter what I did. I feel like he would give me honest feedback, and that honest feedback is usually pretty good. So he was like, dude, I love it. This is perfect. That's funny. You need to make sure you keep it. He gave me a little advice on certain key points that I needed to keep through the series and stuff. And for sure. So bouncing ideas off of him has always been something that I've done, and I really appreciate that about him.
All right. My one piece of feedback then is I watch your brother on some various socials singing and playing guitar or whatever instruments he's got. I think he probably can play a bunch of them, but I see him and then I think, well, yeah, he should be doing the soundtrack, underneath some of your videos here when you guys get to that point. I mean, there's a collab. So, and I do want to give I want to give a shout out to your brother. Not only is he doing all this help with the drones lately, but on his channel, he has started a little segment, where he's asking people what the best shot is that they've ever seen in their career playing disc golf, and then the best shot they've ever personally had. So he kind of asks the same person those two questions, and then he gets them to respond, and obviously, answers both of them. He's got 2 or 3 or 4 of them out there, and it's a great, unique idea. I love that he's doing it, and people should certainly be checking out what Pete's doing. I know he did something with throwing and distance and rangefinders and working on form a few episodes ago in some other stuff he's doing. So he's also, you two are like Mary Kate and Ashley on the YouTubes or something. I don't know. It's adorable. You guys are really...
I appreciate that. No, Pete is very talented. He's by far light years ahead of me with technology. He's very well spoken, as you can tell, and he has that type of personality that everybody loves. You know what I mean? He's so genuine in what he does, which is one of the things that I've learned, and I've been able to take that into my career. Because obviously, as a mentor and the mentor that he was to me, like, he's never changed. He's always just been Pete, and he's got some quirkiness to him. You know what I mean? For sure, he's very unique. But so am I, and to let your full personality out like that all the time, and just basically not give a f what anybody thinks, like, that's commendable, and that's something that he does really good. So I know that his YouTube channel is definitely going to succeed.
Yeah, it's great to see. Well, one of the other person we're going to have tonight is Robert Leonard. And I know you're a huge golf fanatic. You're a phenomenal golfer yourself, and that was a passion, leading into disc golf. So, and we saw a really mixed reaction. So as we start to close out with you, and then we're going to lead into Robert, who I think you might want to hear some of these things. But what was your initial reaction and the thought process? I may have seen one of them from you on social, but what was your reaction today? Well, first of all, describe the format for everybody, and then react to it.
So stroke play for 4 rounds, and then it changes to some sort of, doesn't even matter, some sort of match play, something
for the top 4 players.
Top 4.
Here's the thing: you don't need to outthink the room when it comes to majors. In every single sport, your championship doesn't change. It just doesn't. Like, we play a stroke play tournament. We play a stroke play game. It is very rare that we play a match play tournament ever. Ever. It's a fun thing that we do in San Diego, or it's a more serious thing that we do for the President's Cup. Mm-hmm. And that goes across the board in whatever you're doing. If it's traditional golf, there's no match play major. Okay? And some people compare this to what do you call it? The Pro Tour finale. Mm-hmm. Well, guess what? That's not a major. Don't mess with the majors. That's the one thing that I don't like. Don't mess with the majors. It's a tradition. That's one of the things that makes majors. We practice our whole career stroke play. I can't even go practice a match play tournament.
But you can. You play really good stroke play. That's it. Technically, if you go out and play the best golf you've ever played,
I'm telling you,
right?
I've been a top 10 player in the game for a very, very long time. It's different.
It's a different mentality.
Of course it is. But good golf still wins.
Mindset. No, it's complete. No, it doesn't, because you can take a 10, and then you gain 8 strokes on that person, and it's over. The next hole,
but good golf
win the hole.
Still wins. That's what I said, though.
Terry.
Good golf still wins.
Terry,
I understand it's different, but play good golf.
Well, yeah, you always want to play good golf.
You don't understand, because so if I go 10, and then I birdie, and then I go 10, and then I birdie, and then the last guy just went par. He played better golf than me, and he's gonna win. He's gonna win the major. Nope, I am. Okay, it's not good golf wins.
Okay,
it isn't.
Okay. I'm not saying, believe you guys me, I know how stroke play and I know how match play works, and I understand they're different. But at the end of the day,
if you birdie every hole, sure, you're going to win the tournament no matter what you're playing.
Okay.
But that's not golf.
Okay.
You mess up sometimes.
I'm just, and to be clear, I'm playing devil's advocate here. I don't know really how I feel or care. I haven't really processed it. I just know that if you show up the final day of this particular tournament and you play lights out golf, you will likely win. If you play lights out golf, you will likely win. So good golf still wins. It's not fluky.
And if you play 50-50 golf, 50-50 lights
out
golf,
you might win. You could win, but your chances are less likely. But anyway. Okay. All right.
Okay,
so
here's the thing, though. Last thing. No, I'm still on this subject because I'm pretty passionate.
No, I want to hear it. I want to hear it. Let's hear it.
Not only that. Okay, so you play stroke play for 4 rounds. You gain a 10-stroke lead. Now it's over. Now you have to play match play. Like the strokes don't matter. Like, give me a break. Like, now we're playing a circus game. Like, it's just ridiculous. It really is. And then. Not only that, okay, I can get on the match play tournament, but make us play match play the whole time. Let's have your new major of field games of match play. Congratulations. You don't need to outthink the room here, and that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to make disc golf unique again. I get it. I'm all for unique. I'm all for different. But we all practice our whole careers to play stroke play.
Okay. I hear
we're gonna
you.
have Robert Leonard on shortly, and we'll talk to him about it.
And that's why I ask. I mean, because we're leading right into, so you'll, I'm sure, stick around at home and hear MTL.
Just pull him up right here. Me and Robert, we've had some not match play, but some nice little match play talking with each other.
Some scratch play, more like it.
Yeah,
Two of you.
That's right. Yeah.
No,
pull him up next to me. We can all have a little debate. Right.
I think about.
Well, yeah, and to be fair, we don't know Robert's take. He's the TD. He might have no information. He might just be like, "No, I just wanted a TD. I'm a great TD. The PDGA asked me."
Hey, guess what?
Like
that's 100% right.
Yeah.
No need to throw him.
Yeah, we're not
under the bus
throwing him under the bus.
Well,
I mean, we will at some point. Don't get me wrong. It's always fun to throw Robert under the bus.
And this is another thing. Before I do get off, I'm going to be there, no matter what the format is. Like, I'm a straight competitor. I'm going to go there. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to try to win the tournament. I'm always going to support the PDGA because without them, I wouldn't have a career. And so I will always do that. But I'm allowed to debate it. That's for sure. I'm allowed to have my take. I've also earned that. And I want, and I feel like that's, with the platform that I built, like, it's up to me to voice my opinion on that stuff. And that's my opinion.
Well, I asked though too, and we'll ask the same of Robert. I think of the major and the NT committee or whatever the official term is these days. I think it's a major committee. Someone like Nate Heinold, who of course has built the Ledgestone event to where it is today as the single largest event in our sport. He's doing so many phenomenal things. And knowing he's been pushing for a fourth major, knowing he's got a very, very stout background in golf, in ball golf as well, I find it funny how this all has evolved. And I called Nate today, and he didn't pick up, and maybe I wasn't the only one to call him today. And I know you're now kind of partnering with Ledgestone in some ways. There's a whole lot of I feel like we've got a big pool, and we're about to throw a whole bunch of cats in it.
I can't imagine how this conversation went. I can't imagine how adults got into a room and they were like, "Okay, let's do something a little different. How about match play? How about stroke play? How about match stroke play? How about we don't I just can't even right now. I can't.
Okay.
I can get on board with the match play, like I said, if it goes through the whole thing. I think match play is great for storytelling. I think it's great for storytelling. I think some seeds are going to beat other seeds, and that's great for media, right? You can capture a lot more in a match play tournament than you can in a stroke play tournament, and that's what I do love about match play. But the fact that we're playing stroke play and then it doesn't matter for 4 people, like, that's not a thing. Like, we don't need to outthink the room here, guys.
Okay. I appreciate the input. I am interested to hear how this kind of came to be, knowing who we had on the committee and the conversations that were held. Here's another question. Who did you talk to? We'll say today. Did you know about it before today or not? And then who have you had conversations with, and who has come out to you and said, I love this. This is a great idea. Who has done that?
There hasn't been one person to tell me it was a great idea yet.
That could change.
I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus, but yeah, it's just,
okay.
I've had a few conversations with people. I'm on the players committee, and we didn't get word of this, which I'm pretty mad about as well. I feel like being on the players committee, being on the chair of the players committee, like I should have had some sort of input or something, that I can discuss with other people. That's why we're there. You know what I mean? And so there's a lot of things that right here that I felt like could have been dealt with in a different way, for sure. So
well, I want to make it very clear. Not only am I excited to talk to Robert and someone like Nate Heinold, I'm in full support of trying something new. I understand it's odd, it's different. I'm in support of it. So I want to make it very clear. I am not as anti this as some others might be. I'm open to seeing and hearing how it's all going to play out, and I want to make that very clear from my perspective. That's all. Yes.
Harry, listen to me. Let's do it. I'm down for this. I'm down for the stroke play, match play scenario with all the little goodies in between. There's no need for a first-time tournament to be called a major championship. There's not a place for that in any sport for you to just be like, I have a great idea. We've never tried it at a different tournament, and now let's make a major out of it. Does that not sound ridiculous? It just does.
I'm going to challenge you. Counterpoint, we have a lot of out-of-the-ordinary rules that are played at what everyone deems is the biggest and best major, being the USDGC.
Play stroke play?
Sure, with a ton of wacky rules. A ton of them.
But the scores don't reset, Terry.
Not yet.
Hey, you're right. It's definitely possible.
I'm just saying.
Play hole 3. If you take a 10, you're disqualified. I don't know.
I'm just saying there are a lot of rules at the USDGC.
Tournament's been around for so long.
It had to start somewhere. At one point in 1999, someone said, "You know what? Let's take thousands of feet of yellow rope and strew it all the way across this university campus at Winthrop University, and we're going to call that out of bounds." And someone's like, "That's not out of bounds. That's grass." Someone's like, "That's not a lake. That's grass." They're like, "Nope, we're putting a yellow rope here." And 21 years later, we're still throwing inside and outside of white ropes, yellow ropes, red ropes, in a hay bale, out of a hay bale, through mozzarella sticks. Like, don't tell me that we don't have a little bit of different crazy ideas going on, and they all started somewhere.
We don't, Terry.
That's my only counterpoint.
I can't get on board with that counterpoint because we play stroke play the whole time. It's an established tournament that's been around for a very, very long time. We know that about it. This is a brand new tournament, brand new idea, and they're going to call it a major.
We play stroke and distance on some holes at that course and not on others. And let me be very clear. I'm not degrading in any way, shape, or form the USDGC. I'm using it as my counterpoint that the USDGC, what most would claim is either the biggest or second biggest title to Worlds, has a million little goofy intricacies that change every single year. And we just keep saying, yep, that's our major. So I can't get behind your idea of saying this isn't the time to try something new, because the USDGC tries something new every single year. And I'm not saying I love them all.
Yeah, great. Let's call it a major, and let's have a bunch of goofy rules where we throw the disc, it counts once, and maybe if you throw it out of bounds, it doesn't. You have to re-tee. I don't care about that. Congratulations. That's something that I've learned to deal with in disc golf. It's been there since I started. Since I started in 2006, I played the USDGC. We know that it's accepted. And now they're going to make okay, I'm going to explain this again very, very, very quick before I get off. They want us to play a stroke play tournament to where the scores don't count at the end for 4 people. Right?
Right. Well, they reset.
To be fair, after most events, my stroke play doesn't matter either.
And then it's a match play tournament after that.
You're qualifying. You're qualifying to get to a certain point of that tournament.
Sure. Have you ever heard of that before?
The Pro Tour, you played stroke play all year long, and then we arrived at the Tour Championships in Green Mountain in 2016, and we played match play or whatever, or even goofier. It wasn't even match play. It was win your card.
And I know this for fact that they've tried to make that a major, and the PDGA says, nope.
But we have a better idea.
PDGA's like, not crazy enough.
Hold my beer.
Yeah,
we have another idea. Well, don't hold my beer at a sanctioned event, but hold my beer.
Val can't do that, so she'll get in trouble.
Come on, man.
Okay.
I just can't.
Hey. All right, we got to bring Robert Leonard on.
I hear you.
Robert Leonard on.
We hear you.
I support the PDGA. I'll play the tournament. I hope I win the tournament.
Yeah.
I probably will.
And then it'll be his favorite event. He'll be like,
yeah.
You guys, this format's great.
I'll be so pumped.
Like, this format's the best idea ever. I love it.
Oh, let's do it guess what? I'm down 10 to Macbeth going into the finals reset. He takes a 10 where I take a 2 on a hole, and then I take a 10 the next hole, but it doesn't matter. Like, yes, I'm in, dude. Let's do it.
I mean,
have fun with Robert.
It makes your
really
chances
like
better.
Robert. Wow, thanks, Terry. But I really like Robert. I'm trying to throw some compliments out here. He's going to do a great job as a tournament director. I respect him. I respect the PDGA. I respect Chuck as well, who's I believe co-TDing it.
Yep.
So I know it's going to be a success. I just don't right now. I can't put my stamp on it until I play. So.
All right. Well, the PDGA major, where it's whose line is it anyway? The points don't matter.
That's right.
Strokes don't matter. All right. Now, if you're up later and you need a counterpoint, maybe we'll get a round table. But no, we appreciate it. We love you, buddy. Seriously, good work. Good luck and good work on everything you've been working on. You just keep grinding away. We know you're out there hustling and then getting ready for the tour to start and giving it 110% out there every weekend on the tour. And we absolutely love it. We love having you here. And yeah, looking forward to talking more here soon, pal.
Thank you.
All right, have a good night, man.
All right, have a good night. See ya. All righty. I cannot reiterate enough that I understand the arguments. I understand Yuli's argument. I'm not dismissing his arguments. I think there's a lot of good points and counterpoints that are probably circulating everywhere, and so I don't want anyone to think that either I'm not on board or I'm outright dismissing it. I don't think that's the case at all. I just it's something new, and gosh darn it, if it's new, it's got to start somewhere.
Clearly,
I mean.
And the man whose fault all of this is, I think he particularly petitioned the PDGA. He came up with the format.
Give me the goofiest thing you got, and then put me in charge. Robert Leonard.
Robert Leonard, welcome to the show.
How you doing, buddy?
I had to get a hoodie from all that shade you
You got an umbrella.
Gracious.
Wow. All right. So first of all, thank you. Welcome. Thank you for taking on the task as he was just complimenting you and Chuck Conley. We know that two very fit people to be running large scale events here.
How many tournaments have you run? What are you up to about?
Mid-20s maybe.
Okay.
But it's major number 3.
Yeah. You've got 2 majors under your belt, and this will be the 3rd. So let's just start from the top. When did you come up with this idea, and how long did it take for you to sell it on them?
So let's stop right there.
Listen, okay. There are places on the internet he's not allowed, so you need to be careful what you say.
All right. No, seriously, start from the top with what you know and some of your thoughts.
Yeah, sure. So this is a PDGA-owned event, right? Very similar to the PDGA World Championships. So anything that is going through that PDGA owned label, right? USDGC is not owned by the PDGA. US AMs at Toboggan is not owned by the PDGA, right? This is a PDGA owned event. And so it was the creation of the PDGA Majors Committee, which is under the helm of Nate Heinold and some other people. So this was created by them, and it was pitched to the board of directors as, the players have spoken. They want a 4th major. And it was, I'm not trying to, after all the negatives that I've seen today, and then I'm not trying to throw Nate under the bus whatsoever. That's not what this is about. But this really was the creation of Nate Heinold and that committee. So basically what happened was the entire time this event was supposed to debut in 2022, but there was no 2022 majors bid packet, because all the 2021 majors got pushed back to 2022 because 2020 got pushed back to 2021, right? So the board still, after everything got pushed back to 2022, the board was asked, do you still want this new event that has already been approved? And the board said yes. So at that point, the PDGA agreed to host it in Appling. And then they basically went through a list of people they would consider tournament directors, because one of the main things, the reason why big events like the Hall of Fame Classic and the Worlds and such are not at IDGC anymore is the paid staff at the IDGC is not there to run tournaments, right? They're there to do the PDGA administrative things. And then even the grounds crew, like their job is to, like, they're like a park ranger, right? Mm-hmm. They don't have time to fundraise. They don't have time to come on Smashbox at 11 o'clock at night. You know, all these things that you have to do in this process, right? So so the PDGA said, hey, board, Nate, all these, we'll do this if we can find somebody who's willing to be the tournament director. And then Joe Sugaroff reached out to me early December and kind of said, hey, we've got this opportunity, and talked it over with my wife and talked it over with Chuck, obviously Chuck Connolly, Chuckster, with Spike Kaiser, and came up with a business plan, business model, so to speak, and spent a lot of time talking with Nate Heinold before Christmas, and talking with manufacturers about their levels of support, just, you know, before we committed. And then we said, hey, we're in. And we knew the format would be different. I was given about 6 or 7 different formats, believe it or not. And while I had my opinion was included in the discussion, it ultimately was the decision on the format from of the majors committee.
So to be fair, to be upfront, this was probably, I guess, never going to be a straight stroke play event. They had ideas for something different for this event, or it could have been a stroke play, or it still could be. I mean, if there's enough feedback from the players, we're a year and a half out. I'm sure things could still be adjusted.
Yeah, I mean, we're not even 12 hours in here, right? To the public announcement.
Burn them!
I've already printed discs. I'm sorry, buddy. We're out of luck.
No, I mean, stroke play was kind of the, well, if we can't think of anything that we don't all really like. So that was kind of the fallback. But I will say, if people hate this format, they should have heard the ones that were thrown out. So,
oh God, I want an God.
Well, give us one other idea that.
To not get into the craziness, because I could just see eyes rolling across the world. There was Stableford was probably the most common one thrown out.
Sure.
And and I'm a massive golf fan. Anybody who knows me, I mean, I've been to many majors. I want to go to all 4. I've got 2 of them checked off. Stableford scoring really rewards aggressive play, right? The difference between an eagle and a birdie and a par is not 1. It's 3 between an eagle and a birdie, and 2 between a birdie and a par, right? So it rewards that aggressive play, right? Well, the problem is that's not going to fit on a rotating event, right? Because you got to have the perfect style of course for that to work in disc golf, right? Like, I think Winthrop Gold would be a fantastic place for that kind of play, right? I mean, imagine like hole 10, and if you're somebody who, well, I don't know if I can go for this green, it's a 400-foot OB carry. Well, if you get a 5 points for an eagle as opposed to 2 points for a birdie, it changes that decision making, right? But in a place like Appling, where it's not really about risk reward, it's about management and things like that, it's not going to work. And then 2023, maybe it works at that course, and 2024, maybe it doesn't. And then we started thinking about, well, maybe we have bonus points for throw-ins outside of circle 2. Chuck jokingly, and I'm going to stress jokingly, suggested putting a basket 30 feet above 1, and you get an extra point if you go for that one. I mean, it was getting kind of ridiculous, right? But it was just, we're just trying to make this event stand out, trying to make this event feel different, look different. And the saying is, there's no such thing as bad publicity, and it's definitely made its way around the disc golf world today for sure.
Well, they also say there's no such thing as a dumb idea.
But we've heard a lot of dumb ideas.
Yeah, 30 foots over a basket. I almost fired Chuck when he said that. It's like, you're here.
So that does lead to an additional question, which is, do you see this rotating? You see this as an annual event every single year in some capacity? Is really the goal just to put on the calendar and kind of promise to everyone, hey, there's going to be at least a 4th major every year, location and format to be determined? Is that a good summation or no?
Location to be determined. Absolutely. It's going to be when the 2023 bid package comes out later this year. This event will be one of the biddable majors for 2023. Okay. The PDGA Champions Cup's name is to stay. We're going to be advertising this and marketing this as the inaugural PDGA Champions Cup, which obviously means that this is supposed to keep going. Mm-hmm. I think like anything, right? I mean, if you think of, look at how much the format of the World Championships has evolved. It went from a marathon to, 4 rounds and no finals to now 4 rounds with a cut, Mm-hmm. So, I don't see this format changing between now and the April of 2022, but 2023, 2024, that the event won't be under my command at that point, so to speak, and no telling.
And then do you always foresee then, I'm guessing this was highly talked about or discussed, as it always being a singles thing, or do you maybe see a doubles component ever get also added or as part of it in any way, shape, or form, or is the goal really to make sure that it's at least a singles event?
I mean, in my opinion, I don't ever see it going into a doubles format. But like you said, I mean, who knows really what could change? I never thought the worlds would ever get to the point where we needed 6 different world championships, but but here we are, right? You just never know what's going to happen.
Okay. When we think about majors, maybe I'll just open-end it to you. What defines a major to you and to the PDGA at this point in disc golf? Some of either the requirements, the things that have to be thought about, kind of the global scope. What to you really helps define where we're at with majors in a year like 2021 or 2022?
Well, I mean, first and foremost is there's obviously just a straight fiscal component of this, right? Mm-hmm. The big thing about a major championship is that when the PDGA does not do this for national tours or any other event, when the PDGA signs off on a major, they are going to give you 25% of your total entry fee as sponsorship. So if we have $100,000 in entry fees, the PDGA is sponsoring $25,000 on the event. And that's really important because the minimum payout for a professional major is 125%. So that does, I mean, I'm not going to do this, but if I don't raise a single penny, the event has met PDGA standards. So that's a big component of this because is I think that people kind of take that for granted, really, is that when the PDGA assigns that label to an event, it means they're not playing around, right? They are making a fiscal commitment with membership dollars to this event that they are stamping this as a major, right? They're going to be providing on-event support. Now, obviously it's Appling. There's going to be on-event support. Terrible example, right? But if you go to any PDGA major, you're going to see Sean Sinclair. Mm-hmm. You're going to see Michael Downs for most of them. You're going to see Todd Lyon. And depending on the size of the event, you might see Andrew Sweeten. You're going to see these people that are behind the scenes running all these events and doing all of this. You're going to see them at these events. So you're automatically adding prestige. You're automatically adding importance. All the PDGA, people. I know people don't maybe care about the PDGA marketing and the feather banners and all of that. It looks professional to somebody on the outside. You're adding all of these things to that event. I was formally sponsored by Discraft, so I've seen the contracts. So I know the manufacturers they differentiate the bonuses for majors and things like that. So, it's a two-headed coin, really. You've got the PDGA backing that support, but then the players are also getting that additional bonus opportunities based on that title.
Yeah, and that's exactly where I was going to go with that. Is this, as Uli just said, he'll be there no matter what. Anybody wants a shot at a major title, they're going to get over whatever rules they like or dislike. They're going to show up because there's going to be sponsorship implications, there's going to be bonus implications, and a lot of other things about being there and being part of the event. So I could see that as well. When it comes to, and I know this is a little bit maybe not locked in yet, PDGA just mentioned, huge supporter. Let me go here first. Sorry. PDGA, huge supporter. People clamor all day long, and you've been around as long as we have. Where's my money going? You know, blah, blah, blah. You know, they should always give an extra dollar or give money to the worlds, and we should have the biggest purses, blah, blah, blah. I think it's worth saying again, the PDGA is putting in 25% in addition to the entry fees right here. So when we talk about the PDGA supporting our players, among the other hundreds of things that your membership money goes to, this is yet another component of where your dollar gets spent. And I think should feel good for everybody.
Yeah, and it goes beyond that, right? You know, it's once again, Appling's the worst example in the world of this, right? But it's not only are they pledging 25%, right? It's not like they're going to say, here's 25%. Oh, by the way, here's Andrew Sweeten's hotel bill. Take care of this for us. Here's his plane, right? You know, so all that on the ground support and staff support. I mean, I've marshaled many worlds, and they basically contract that out, you know, that support for the event. And, you know, and a lot of times I see this question on discussion boards or social media of, why is a pro membership $75? Why is an amateur membership $50? What's the difference? This is the difference. It's that 25% cash support of all the pro majors.
Yeah, this is a one specific area that you can point to. And again, you can literally Google, where does my PDGA membership go? And it'll bring you to a site on a page on the PDGA, and it talks about where all of your money can be allotted and what it goes toward. But here's yet another glaring example of exactly that, which is awesome to see. So a little bit further out, I will ask though, in addition to the PDGA support, are there any locked-in title sponsors or manufacturers maybe that you've either lined up or that are fighting for this? Can naming rights be given out in terms of in addition to the PDGA's Champions Cup?
Yeah, I had to be very careful with this. We didn't want this to get leaked, so to speak. I know that Ultra World had kind of leaked the board of directors minutes about a month ago about a fourth major was coming and it was going to be a different format, but they didn't really know what was going on, right? But then I also stressed to Joe and Mike Downs, when we were talking about this early December, is like, I can't just commit to this and then find out afterwards that no manufacturers or sponsors are interested. So, we had those conversations, and I'll give him, and I give Nate a lot of props, Nate Heinold. Nate completely changed this game and completely wrote the playbook on how to raise money. And it's if you'd asked me 5 years ago if I would ever do an MPO FPO major, I would have because how am I supposed to raise all of this money? I have no clue, right? And Nate has answered that question and provided that playbook, and that is a question that has been lingering in this since the beginning of disc golf, and Nate has answered it. And that is, and what I'm getting at with that is that, so there was a lot of conversations with him and how can we involve Discraft? And I know you've kind of got the monopoly on some of these molds with Ledgestone. I kind of played, I don't want to say I played him a little bit, but I kind of said, this is your baby and you want this to succeed.
That's how you get to Nate Heinold. You come like, you're so smart.
Right.
Can you?
Yeah. I'm like texting, like, this was the greatest idea I've ever seen, No,
and your sister's cookies are great.
Yes.
Yeah.
They are.
And my local sponsor here in North Carolina, Fly Guy Disc Golf, is associated with Dynamic Discs. So we had a brief conversation with them up front. And the last time the Hall of Fame Classic was involved, the last time the Hall of Fame Classic occurred, RecTech Grills was the title sponsor. They have a great relationship with Augusta. So, we have these kind of conversations in place. I had a conversation with Jeff Spring in December, just understanding how the network was going to work and how these sponsorships work and things like that. So, I kind of got that framework set, but, nothing, but like intentionally nothing out there because we didn't want to leak it. But I just had to have those preliminary, just minor understandings before I said yes.
Okay. So I think a fair question would be, and if you were here, I'd ask him, is it just proximity? Why isn't Nate running this? If it's his idea and he's raising all the money and he loves to run tournaments,
like 2 or 3 events.
That is maybe, the logical answer, but did Nate show interest in running it, or do we see it in a year or two? It may be coming to Peoria and being something that rotates in his neck of the woods.
I believe Nate volunteered before they offered it to me. But anytime you're doing something new, you got to have somebody who's fully committed. And, not only in the way it was explained to me, and maybe this was maybe this was the PDGA doing to me what I did to Nate, kind of buttered him up, right? They said they put together a list of tournament directors that they would feel comfortable, and there was about 15 or 20. And I was one of the only ones that didn't have already something committed over the next couple of years. Because, ignoring Ledgestone and all that stuff, Nate's running Master Worlds, I think in 2022 or 2023, one of those years, right? So, he's already got that commitment. So that's kind of why he was, said, hey, we appreciate it, but let's see if we can find somebody else, is what I was told.
Okay. Well, of course, Nate, and you touched on it, not only is he great with the fundraising and all the efforts he puts in, and he's got great partnerships, but even the community, when he talks to Eureka, Washington, when he talks to Peoria and all of that community, he clearly has also kind of cracked that code of visitors and convention bureaus and, all the tourism departments that really rally behind bringing everyone into Peoria, Illinois. So I think hearing him volunteer is probably a standing offer for just about every big event, which is great.
Here's a really fun fact with Nate Heinold and I. Both our best man were the same person. So there you go.
Okay. Oh, and for bonus points, can somebody answer who that is? I know who it is.
I know who it is.
But that'd be. So I do have to ask. Well, this is a great follow-up to that. You recently, on a slightly tangent and personal note, you recently did announce that you were stepping back from your sponsorship with Discraft. And I thought, okay, well, they let him go. His skills are declining, and he could politely walk. No, seriously.
Yes, but
no, seriously. You did say, hey, I'm stepping back. Did any of this? Did you not want to muddy those waters? Was that at all involved, or you just have?
No, that was before all this happened. Okay. I got nothing but positive things to say about Discraft. Bob Giulio and all them treated me well. I was I'm still wearing a Discraft hoodie, right? I was with them for 5 years, but the main thing was the opportunity with Fly Guy Disc Golf, my local sponsor, the opportunity to really expand and throw a mixed bag, and Hannibal McGarity is the guy who does that, and Hannibal basically handed me a stack of discs last year and just said, hey, just go try these, because he's sponsored by Dynamic, and I found some that for Robert as a player that I was a little better with some. I always struggled with some of Discraft's fairway mids. I don't have a lot of power, basically. I guess I do. I throw 400, but I don't have a lot of discs for me are a lot more stable based on the way that I release them. So, I struggled because I felt like, everything was either too overstable, and then the flippy stuff was really flippy. So I struggled a little bit with some shots, and there was actually a joke for years that I was either going to throw a crank, a buzz, or a magnet. And, and that joke was, and I used to joke about it, and ha, it's funny, but it was because I didn't really like the fairway drivers that much. But no, Discraft treated me great. And, I had a great relationship with Bob and Paul, and that was before any of this. In 2018, when I did AM Worlds, I was a Discraft sponsored player, and our title sponsor was Innova.
Sure.
So the conflict of interest are going to be there in our sport no matter what. It's one of the best and the worst things about our sport. We all know each other, and sometimes those things are going to collide. It just felt like the right time for me to play a mixed bag, and
sure.
And here we are.
So quickly then back to to today. Again, I truly just was on social media very, very little. And anytime I saw chatter about it, we had a handful of our top pros, like you, Lee, perhaps, that didn't seem, that just flat out either weren't thrilled. Some seemed wildly upset and thought it was crazy, and some were just like, huh? Do you have anything to say? How would you respond to anyone? And did you have to bite your tongue at all today, or did it roll off your back? Did it concern you? Clearly it's not like you're a villain, but what were some of your thoughts when you were reading people reacting to it today? Some of our top players.
37-year-old Robert's a lot different than 27-year-old Robert, and handle that a lot differently today than 27-year-old Robert would have, or maybe even 34-year-old Robert. I read everything. I'm not going to be. I'm a information junkie. I had a lot of type responses that I didn't hit send on.
Mm-hmm.
I reached out to Uli. Uli played my local tournament in 2012 after the Charlotte Worlds. So I've known Uli a while, and I wish he'd have stayed on because he has a story about this ridiculous putt that I made. Next time you have him on, I made a hyzer flip S curve 80-footer with 150 gram AVR, and I remember he just stood there for like 8 seconds just staring at me, and I'm like, it's in, Paul. I don't know what to tell you. But anyway,
he neglected to mention that tonight when he was talking about the event.
Yeah, he will remember it.
Yeah.
But no, all jokes aside, I reached out to him for the immense respect that I have for him, and just to understand where his concerns were and where his frustration was. And I understood it, but a lot of these things that I'm seeing, a lot of the information has been intentionally vague, right? I keep seeing, one of these points that I keep seeing is just like, well, if I'm winning by 10 and all of a sudden I have to reset, and that doesn't mean that I've won by 10. At what point have we ever said that that's not going to matter? Right?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'm not saying this is truly speculation. We have not decided this, right? Maybe the 1 seed starts a match up a couple of holes.
I said that today on Dixon's, like a home field advantage, because that's the big comparison that everyone's throwing it to. Like, oh, the NFL does this. They have a regular season, and then you go to a playoff, and there you get no. And I'm like, well, you kind of get an advantage in home field advantage, or
a bye, or whatever.
And so I said it is a possibility that maybe you could start with a couple point advantage in the match play if you're playing a full 18 and you gave the 1 seed 3 points and the 2 seed 2 points and the 3 seed 1 point and the 4th seed gets no point advantage. I could see something.
That's
like
an idea.
It's an idea, and who knows what's going to happen.
I'm not saying that's what's
happening.
Of course.
This is John Van Derzen wildly speculating and throwing out ideas.
Yeah, that's what he does.
And I will go back to the first minute we talked. This is a PDGA owned event, and as a tournament director, I don't really have the control that it might seem. Right, but so I mean, something like that. Is I keep hearing all these things about and I heard Paul's 10-2, 10-2, like that stuff, is that possible? Of course. Is that going to happen with
the top four players
in the world who just competed and are, after 4 rounds are 847 under par? No. It's not. Could it happen on a single hole? Of course.
Especially at W.R. Jackson. Yeah.
Sure.
Correct. So, and one of the questions I asked Paul today was, I would argue this is less random than the Disc Golf Pro Tour finale.
Yeah, where you're put on, especially a couple of years ago, where you were put in a group, you had to win your group, and that was kind of seeded. And then there was, the Drew Gibson thing because there was a wild card, and
I love that stuff.
I'm just saying that had a lot of unique oddities to it.
But as and to Yuli's point, it wasn't a PDGA major. It was a finale. It was a finale. Yeah. It was an event, like it was almost as Steve had lined it up at the time. It was more for it was bonuses, giving people money, and it was also more
exhibition.
Exhibition is the word I'm looking for.
But we're also not going to have the 7 seed win.
Yeah.
So there's and the other thing that I think is really important is I think everybody is looking at this as 2 tournaments, and that's not what this is, right?
It's 1 tournament.
This is a qualification event where you are trying to qualify for a championship finale. And let's say there's 100 players, and we're going to pay 40% PDGA minimums. 5th through 40th are going to get paid like they would if it was a 4-round stroke play PDGA major. Right? Mm-hmm. So it's not like the guy who comes in 37th who missed, who goes into the 4th round and they're 48 shots out of 4th or something, and they have nothing to play for. No, they're still playing for for cashing in a PDGA major.
Mm-hmm.
The guy who's in 50th in that last round is still playing to cash in a PDGA major.
Yeah.
So I understand all the concerns, you know, and one of the counterpoints that I've heard, or that I've been making today, as I've talked to a few people, is people are saying, well, match play is too random. But then I hear people wanting to have more. You should have done 64-person bracket. Well, you're increasing the randomness if it's a random issue. So, you know, it's, you know, it comes down to, you know, my job as a tournament director, and this is for my local C tier that I just ran last weekend all the way to this. My job as a tournament director is say, this is what we're doing. This is the format. And I'm going to make sure that the rules are clear as day. You know, you're never going to land in a single spot on this course. And you can ask anybody who's ever played one of my tournaments. There is not going to be a single inch of this course you're ever going to land, and you're ever going to doubt how to play that lie. And that's to make that as clear as day, because you know, I heard your conversations earlier about USDGC. That's one of the big complaints that I've heard from players, kind of off the record, is that they're having too much focus on what rule is on this hole, right?
Oh, on the record too. Well, Terry and I have both. You know, I've said for years that it's a great event. It's run spectacularly. It is the worst for spectators in the world. Period.
Yeah.
Because every time you walk up to a hole, someone should have to explain to you what the rules are on that hole, and for me, I'll die on this hill. It's horrible. It's horrible for coverage. It's fun for players. It's a great run event. All the thing. They treat everyone like a rock star. I've been there multiple times.
Yeah.
But when you walk up to hole 3 and you're like, okay, that's yellow rope. What does yellow rope mean this year? That is my issue.
Yeah, and I'm not. I qualified as a player one time. It was an incredible experience.
Yeah, okay. Drop that again. What? Go ahead, say it. Yeah, you qualified as a player.
It was
Robert.
right after he made that long putt that Uli was.
Yes. You know, but I played in the year that I played was no penalty, rethrow every shot out of bounds. You know, and it was just. You know, and then the next year they didn't do that. You know,
exactly my point before.
Which is why it's also an X tier. It's why they don't.
It's a major.
It is. It's a major.
If you guys want to keep harping
which is
on
probably is. That's a good question. Is this going to be an MX?
No.
Does that matter?
No. Why would it be? It's so
because you can't do ratings in the final 2 rounds if it's match play.
It's a stroke play at the USDGC, and the ratings don't matter.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, is this an MX? Because the strokes won't matter.
In final 9s, you can't do ratings.
Correct. So it's going to be 4 rounds of rating. Again, this doesn't really matter because, as we know, ratings are ratings. 4 rounds of ratings, and then 2 rounds,
don't care about ratings.
and then 2 rounds of not rated golf, which is fine. I'm just
pros don't care about ratings, but they'll sure sell a disc with their round ratings and their ratings on it. Well,
and they'll tell us every time their rating goes up, but ratings don't matter. Keep telling me that, pros.
But what I'm really getting at is that is this it's been this very much an apocalyptic type feel today.
Of course.
This is the end of the disc golf, and here we are, and this is clown. I saw somebody say this is 2011 USDGC, like referring to the performance only year. And I'm just, and for, you know, we're going to have 144 players, and for 136 of them, this isn't going to matter.
Yep.
And for the 8 of them that do, when they get a big check, they'll be fine.
They'll be okay.
8 or 4?
Well, there'd be 4 men and 4 men. 4 men,
4 women, 4 women. Okay, yes. All right.
Who just to button it up? Who will ultimately decide on the exact final details of the competitive format, like the very intricate details?
And what's their phone number?
Yeah, who is that? The entire majors committee, and then they basically hand a document to you and say, "Here you go. Put this in your caddy guide as such." Or how is that going to unfold?
Yeah, I mean, it will ultimately be the majors committee's decision, but I can't imagine that input from myself and Sean Sinclair and things like that are not going to be very highly valued. I even think Sean's on the majors committee. Don't quote me on that, but
okay.
But I know Nate runs it for sure. But I mean, it's but the other part of this was that it's not like they said, "Hey, run this major," and then after I committed, they said, "Oh, we're going to try this different format." Like, I knew going into this, the format was going to be different. And I'll even say, I mean, we kicked around the idea of maybe the match play being 8 people or 16 people and maybe making a stroke play only 3 rounds. But then we felt way more random, right?
Sure.
Because we feel like to get into the top 4, if you've played 4 rounds of golf on a championship level course where par is a 990 rated round and you have earned your way into the top 4, there is not any randomness in that. And the randomness can and probably will happen after the fact. But you know, I'll bet Yuli $1 million right now that ain't nobody going to go 10-2, 10-2 at any point.
I agree.
If Yuli gets in, he's going to do it on purpose. I got strokes to give, guys.
Yeah, he's like, look, I know we're playing for a lot of money, but Robert's going to give me $1 million. So,
all right. Well, I think it's fair to say that everyone can just simmer down.
Nope.
We've got plenty of time for all the details.
A year and a half to get enraged.
Yeah, to get. I think we should be excited about the idea that the call for a 4th major has been answered. I don't know where Steve Brinster stands on it. I know he's been a big champion of the idea that we have the 4. I know a lot of people have said it. We have a 4th major. There's a few more details to get worked out. Simmer down, people. Is that a fair summation?
Yeah, and it's, I always try to look at things, especially as, as I joked about 27-year-old, 37-year-old Robert, as I kind of look at it the way I would have seen it 10 years ago, and that kind of just immediate reaction. And had we announced that there was going to be a 4th major and it was going to be 4 rounds of stroke play, I really feel like I wouldn't even be talking to y'all tonight. It'd just been like,
maybe.
Okay. But you get what I'm saying, though.
Maybe.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just kind of like, oh, okay, cool, great. But and whoever wins this event, let's say it's somebody like Paul or somebody like a Drew Gibson, somebody who is got that name and got that marketability and for sure has that talent, but just has not broken through yet on that level. You don't think that they're not going to be selling, discs. You don't think that when they step up to every event the rest of their life, they're going to be introduced as a 2022 PDGA Champions Cup.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a big history guy in terms of the sport. I surely hope and I fully respect if a player and they have this right to say, you know what, I don't like this format, I'm not going to go. They have that right. But, when I think about the amount of money they're going to be playing for, the amount of fun that we're going to have, and then I think about the historical, knowing this is going to keep happening and be an inaugural event. Somebody pointed out to me today that the PGA Championship started off as completely stroke play.
I think he froze up. I was waiting for the completion of that. It looks like Robert froze up on us.
Oh, I'm here. Sorry.
Oh, there we go. Okay, so you were saying that the PGA Championship started as stroke play?
No, it started as match play. Okay. And then TV demanded that it change to stroke play. But what I was saying is that in the end, the historical relevance of being the inaugural winner of a major championship. Mm-hmm. And if somebody wants to make the decision that they potentially might win a 4-round event by 10 strokes and then not win that title and risk that opportunity, they have that right. Mm-hmm. But that's not a decision that I think should dictate, all the other, very, very obvious benefits of being the inaugural champion of this event.
Well, again, we got plenty of time. We're excited to hear about it. And I think you stated it perfectly. If it was just a standard format of 4 or 5 rounds of stroke play, it may have, there would have been a lot of other questions for other reasons. Well, why isn't it any different? What's the big deal? And why does it get to be held at Jackson? There would have been a lot of other reasons to challenge it just the same. Let's wait and find out. All right. We need to try new things. I'm good with it. The majors committee has worked, I'm sure, through 1,000 different scenarios, as we've talked about. Maybe every idea is not great. Maybe it's an effort behind it. And if not, we'll just dox Nate Heinold and everybody can have
I've
a
got
talk
his number.
We'll just put Nate out there for everybody to go after. But it's worth a try. And Robert, if you can still hear me. I just want to say thank you. I mean,
it's a lot of work to run
an
event. It is a lot more work to run a major. And this is your 3rd one. The PDGA owes you a debt of gratitude, as do all the members.
And I appreciate that. And I can't stress how, I said this when in the PDGA release, the first thing I did was I called Chuck. Chuck's been my assistant tournament director for for the previous two.
Mm-hmm.
We have an incredible relationship, both as friends. One of my favorite stories was at my wedding. It was about 100 degrees. And he called me a couple of days later and he said, man, it was hot. I said, but man, how good was the food? He said, oh, dude, I left. It was 100 degrees. And I said, Chuck, we ate inside. And he literally hung up screaming, so, we're great friends and we work so well together. We have such opposing strengths. I'm really good at, the integral details of the rules and understanding the OBs and understanding, clarity and doing things like that. And he's the player hospitality. I mean, the guy ran the player hospitality at USCDC for years, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's, so I as soon as that's what I said to in the PDGA release is as soon as they asked me, my first call was to Chuck. And I said, very simply, if you're out, I'm out, and, and we're going to be reaching out to some locals, to head up some kind of on the ground work. I'm 6 hours away from Augusta. Chuck's 5 hours away. So we'll need some boots on the ground there that are beyond the PDGA staff. So it's, it's in every major that I've done, it's truly a team effort, and that is not just a saying. It's, you can't do something if you do something like this on your own. You're not only crazy, but you're going to fail. It's really that simple.
Yeah. And the players in the event will all suffer, and it will be usually more than obvious.
You've ran a World, Terry. You get it. You get it.
All right. Well, Robert, thank you. Thank you for fielding the not only the questions, but shielding a little of the shade and the heat.
The arrows.
Unfortunately, some people are going to jump to too many conclusions. Uh-oh. I probably got a message from him too saying, lay off, leave me alone.
All the shade, man. Y'all talking about all the snow. We're predicted to get maybe about 1/4 of an inch tomorrow.
Okay. Stay safe. Bundle up.
No milk anywhere, no bread. You can't find anything.
The city was shut down.
One of my favorite memes whenever it snows is everybody makes fun of us Southerners for how it reacts. And then there's a graphic of North Carolina, up in the north, and where they shut schools down because of extreme heat. It's like 84. That's fall.
It's all full circle. We all got our struggles, I guess. Well, again, hats off to both you and Chuck, along with the PDGA, along with the entire committee, because clearly this was not just thought of overnight. And you guys have put in a lot of work and effort. And then, like they said, to have you on that short list of people to call up and even attempt to pull something like this off.
It's because his number wasn't long distance.
Yeah,
who can we call that's not long distance? Oh, look, we got him.
But no, seriously, the fact that, that you were in that running, and then obviously you took it upon yourself and then pulled Chuck in, just a great team. I know both of you guys are going to do a phenomenal job, and of course, we wish nothing but the best of luck. We hope that from some media perspective, we're going to be involved as much as we possibly can be. Everybody loves Jackson and the IDGC, and we're just looking forward to it. So
yeah, I can't wait. Week after the Masters, so it'll be a fun 2 weeks in Augusta. Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
It's going to be awesome. All right. Well, Robert Leonard, we're going to let you go. Appreciate it. Thanks. Good luck. I'm sure you probably got some work to do on the event or some emails to send out. Have a good night. See you.
Good night, Robert.
All right. And there you have it. So, okay. So I'll ask you then, how did he talk Uli down from the cliff?
No.
No. Okay. Because
no.
Uli.
I don't think any.
Okay.
We've said Robert,
format.
The format. Nobody. I don't think he changed any minds on the format.
Okay.
And that's not obviously nothing against Robert. He's going to run a fantastic event, and it's not his decision as to what the format of the event is.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the people that are upset with the format are not going to change their mind. It's just there is an inherent. I'm not going to say. I wanted to say problem, but that's not the right word. It feels, and this is all about the feels here. It feels bad when you lose any advantage that you built up in the middle of a tournament for whatever reason. Like that
Momentum, bro.
You know it. You know it's coming, so you can't really complain about it. But you also know that, like, oh, all right, if you have first, we'll say, locked up, or let's say no, not first, the top 4 locked up. You're kind of like, oh, there's no reason for me to run anything. But as we've seen, this could add different drama in different places.
Mm-hmm.
You could see third place making a run, depending on how they seed everybody. If it's a 1, 4, 2, 3, you could see third place making a run to think that they're going to have a better spot to play somebody else. You're going to see fifth place really maybe start to, bust their ass to try to get into that fourth place. There's going to be some really great drama and storylines that are going to play out. We've seen it before. We've said it before about the final 9s. Is it fair that fifth place, let's just say it's Paul Macbeth. He's in fifth place with 6 holes to go.
Mm-hmm.
That he can now just play all out. It doesn't matter, because if he takes 5th, if he takes 8th, it doesn't matter. He just wants to get in that top 4, as opposed to someone who's in 4th place.
Who thinks they're going to get lazy and lay back? Like, that's on them. I
understand.
I know the example you're trying to set up, but I don't care. Like, get into the top 4. Whatever it takes to motivate you to get into the top 4, you better figure it out. That's what I'll say to that. And if that's because you're in 6th trying to get into the top 4, or you're in 2nd and you think you can lay up for the last 4 holes, I don't care. Figure it out for yourself, how you remain in that top 4, and you move on from there. There's plenty of I think there's plenty of gamesmanship. There's plenty of strategy. All of those things will come into play.
Personally,
sometimes the smartest people don't succeed in life too, or the not so smart people.
If they're going with this type of format, which it sounds like they are, I think I would have rather seen a few more people in the match play as opposed to top 4. I'd like to see maybe top 8. And it has nothing to do with randomness for me or anything like that. But I think from a media perspective, you can build a better story. Then you get Cinderellas. You get, the 8 versus the 1, as opposed to, 4 versus 1. That's probably.
But that could be 9 strokes difference. To get into that spot, I'm just saying there could have been a 9-stroke difference.
We're resetting scores.
I know. I'm just saying,
I'm talking. You're looking at now. We'll just play pretend. Top seed, Paul Macbeth. 4th seed, probably we'll say like a Kevin Jones. Whatever. That's fun and awesome. But a more compelling story is 1st place Paul Macbeth versus 8th place Thomas Gilbert. Like, that is a battle that you want to see. People root for underdogs. With only a top 4, you don't really have that. So I'm looking at it from a story perspective.
I don't care. Ricky Wysocki, Eagle McMahon, and Paul Macbeth didn't make it into the largest broadcast within disc golf history.
Yep. Anything can happen.
Got to get it done, boys. That's my take.
100%. I'm looking at it from a different. Like, if we're going with this format, that's fine and dandy, whatever. I would just rather see more people in there, because I think you can create more storylines for us, the media. There's more. I think you add a little bit more drama.
There's more stuff we could miss too, because we don't have the scope of the capabilities.
It's
to cover
WR
more.
Jackson. We're probably not live there anyway.
I know, and that brings me to a whole other question that just came in off the board. Someone had asked, "Is that not a dead zone?" And
we will see.
We'll see. We have not
change in years.
Yeah, and we haven't had our most updated live units on the ground in a fully tested capacity at WR Jackson. When Worlds was held there in 2017, that was different technologies, different things being used. Yep. Obviously, for better or worse, we're in a very different world here 4 years later, or what will be 5 years later. We can only hope that the capabilities of live will then be available. I would be, and unfortunately, you and I are partially in control of this, I'd be wildly frustrated and disappointed if live cannot happen there, because there's so much consideration and effort put into our pro tours and our national tours and our majors about having a live component to it.
Do you really think the PDGA wants this debacle live? No, I'm just kidding.
I'm just hoping that for all of those reasons, that's why I'm saying.
Yeah.
I understand they had to pick a first place to have it,
and because of the way that obviously the years went with everything being pushed back, that the PDGA took this under their wing for IDGC. I get it, and I can't fault them for it. Normally, if this were different circumstances, I'd be more frustrated. Like, God, man, the PDGA didn't even think about doing live, but this is a unique situation. I give them all the grace in the world as to where it's held. If WR Jackson doesn't work, if we get there and we look at it sometime this year, we'll probably do testing. I'm sure all the guys driving around, they'll go through there at some point. They'll pull in and they'll look and they'll do all the testing they can do with our new equipment. And we'll see, be like, oh yeah, this is great, we can do it, or no, it's just not going to work. Fine, whatever. I'm not even upset about that. Like, that's life, that's situation, that's circumstances. Todd Lyon on the board, when I mentioned having more players into the match play, he says that one of the reasons that they didn't is that it becomes a scheduling issue, that they need, for a major, the PDGA needs X amount of holes to qualify. So 95% of the players might not get enough golf to be worthy of a major, as opposed to what we have now. So at least everyone's getting 4 rounds, and then we see a 5th and a 6th that are playing match play.
Yeah, which is, again, maybe an angle I hadn't thought of initially. Yeah,
correct.
You need X amount of holes in order to play a major, so guaranteeing so much golf, in this case of stroke play, makes sense that they arrived at that factored into the format decisions there. So, and this isn't this isn't meant as a counterpoint or deflection or anything silly, but I think back to a couple years ago, and granted it was stroke play, I understand that, but there was a major in Australia that was, I'll say, unproven at the time. By today's standards, it was absolutely unproven by today's standards.
And what year was that? 2017? 2018?
16, 17-ish, somewhere around there.
That is a whole different generation of disc golf. Honestly, the 4 to 5 years is a completely different generation, but I understand.
I mean, we had a major at the beginning of the year.
Yep.
Middle of the winter. That I don't want to say it was just granted or thrown. Obviously, they did a lot of work in order to, but by the processes and the standards that we have, like that was very easily questioned back then. I think I was one of the first to question it. Something new, something different, and they went with an approach of we know that they can pull this off to the level. It was I feel like it was a little bit of a chicken and the egg situation.
Correct. You need to build up that community and environment. You needed to bring in a big event, and that was it. I get that. But again, that was the discussion is the format.
Yeah, I hear.
If this were a standard format, 4 rounds stroke play, and you gave it to I'm trying to think, somewhere in Nevada. I'm trying to think of a state that doesn't
the Bunny Ranch.
The Bunny Ranch. If you put it at the Bunny Ranch, and it was run by people who we have faith in, bunch of bunnies.
Yeah, PDGA Rodman, and then regular Dennis Rodman.
And fake PDGA.
If
they were running the event.
Yep.
And they're
only logical.
They're qualified to run an event. I don't think anyone would have an issue. It's not that. It's the format. It's all about the format. That's what this problem is. It's not that they're just that it's going to some place or some people that it's a first time event. How can it be a major? Who cares? Like, we all know that you could take Robert Leonard, put him in any state in front of a disc golf tournament or in a course, and he's going to run a quality event. The guy just, I mean, we know certain TDs can do that. It's all about the format. And we're going to see over the next, I bet you, week or two, we're going to hear a lot of people's opinions. We're going to hear a lot of people's ideas and thoughts, and some are going to be really well thought out, and some are going to be totally stupid and dumb. And I'm going to think, why did you ever even open your mouth?
Take your keyboard and bash it over your head, please.
Yes. Take a scissors.
Cut the cord to your keyboard.
Cut the cord, and you're so dumb because it's wireless. There's no cord for you to cut. But don't voice your opinion ever again on anything ever on the internet. Yeah. I guarantee you there's going to be those opinions. I'm looking forward to seeing them all. And you know what? Maybe this goes over gangbusters and everybody has to eat their words. I don't know. I think the event will go fine, but we'll see if people like the format. I don't know if it's going to change.
I mean, MTL Robert made it sound like it was not.
Yeah. I mean,
and
that's what I don't like, though, is like,
should it change? Should it change all this knee-jerk reaction?
Yes.
And then next week, everyone's got a new, brighter, better idea. And then 2 months out, everyone's like, hey, you know what? We really should try this format. I'm going to get a petition going, and let's do that format. Like, how much are we going to – who are we bending to at this point?
The players.
Okay. Which players? The smart ones? The good ones? The attractive ones? The ones with big or small social media? The ones that it's going to benefit or not benefit? Like, there too. I mean, we have a slippery slope here.
Correct, but we know Uli is on Players Association type thing. He's
okay.
If you get the touring pros together, we'll say, you know, take a general consensus of the top 50 touring pros and say, what is our thought? If 49 of them come back and say, we don't like this, do you think that PDGA should reassess, or should the PDGA go, too bad, so sad, our deal, goodbye, show up or don't? I mean, ultimately, there's two groups of people you're trying to please: the touring players that are going to play the top events, and spectators, the viewers.
Mm-hmm.
If all the viewers love it and say, no, this is a great idea, but none of the pros like it, then we keep it. If all the pros love it and none of the viewers like it, you keep it. If everybody says they hate it, you change it.
They still play it, and then you change it?
You change it. I mean, you have to kind of, and again, that's what we have, a year and a half. Maybe nothing changes. Maybe the PGA says, listen, guys, deal with it. We want to try this. Maybe it's the greatest thing ever, and just nobody's seeing it. That's a possibility. And I would be, no matter what they do, I'm going to support it. I'm going to support the PDGA. I think they have earned my trust over and over and over again. But if in 3 months they come out and say, okay, we've got everybody's feedback, we think we made a mistake. We wanted to go on a limb. Clearly that wasn't the right move. So please, we're going to change this to just a 4-round or 5-round stroke event, major, same deal, great course. I would be like, oh, cool. PDGA is listening to the people. That's how I would react. Like, good for them. We'll see what happens.
Here's what I'll promise everyone.
Oh, God. Promises.
I'm not losing any sleep over this.
No, me neither.
I can get worked up about a lot of stuff. Raise my surprisingly normal blood pressure to an unnormal level about plenty of things. This isn't one of them. Well, it's a lot of time. It was a gut reaction today, and we don't know. I'm going to throw out Disc Baron from our digital green room. Disc Baron comes along in 12 months and says, hey guys, as a precursor to this event, I'm putting up 50 grand to sponsor a very similar warm-up style event with this. Yes, it won't be a major, but we're going to host this. And just like that, people play it, they see it, they come to love the format, think it's perfectly fine. And just like that, everyone else is, all the naysayers switch. Like, I just feel like there's a lot of room, a lot of time. And surprisingly, I'm not nearly as worked up about this as a lot of other people are. So we'll see how it shakes out.
I don't think this is the case, but I really hope that this isn't the format to try and kind of emulate the Pro Tour finale, where it's like, oh, here's the thing, but really the final round counts. We want to highlight these 4 players. We want to highlight the final round. I don't like that personally. Like, I want a solid event, because the Pro Tour finale, I think, can get away with that because it's the Pro Tour finale and it's not a major, and it's not like, I don't want us to go out of our way to make things media friendly. Like, well, to say, oh, guess what? We know that live, they can cover the top 2 cards, and we have a post-production team that can cover MPO and one that can cover FPO. So we really want to focus on that, because that's the limits of our media. I don't want that to be the scenario. No. I hope that's not the consideration. I don't think it is. but I really hope it's not.
So it's funny you've now said it a couple of times, and I'll briefly, before we let this die.
Oh, it's never going to.
I'll briefly I'll take off Jeff Springs' Pro Tour hat, Pro Tour Director hat, and I'll put it on my hat and say he would be sternly pointing his finger at you, waving at you right now, saying, why do you feel like the Pro Tour finale with the largest payout in PDGA history, also some of the best exposure we've ever seen in our sport, why is that? Why are you not equating that to a major? Because he would argue otherwise. He would argue that it is right there on par with a major, and in a lot of ways exceeds our current events that say major next to them.
In a lot of in payout and some.
He's gonna scold you so hard.
I know.
Tomorrow.
I'm gonna get a text from him.
But seriously, that's what he would be saying if he's watching. That's what he's screaming
and
right
guess
now.
what? I would say, in the current format that the PDGA finale is in, it shouldn't be a major. If you're not, again, I'm
because it's not stroke play.
Because it's not stroke play. I'm with Yuli here on this because
Team Yuli.
I'm in this instance, Yuli. I'm with you. There's a lot of things I don't agree with you with, but
like his mustache.
Yeah. Oh God, have you seen that? Did you see it? It was right. He went in public with that. Because he has a valid point. Like, we play every round of our tour, of all of our NTs, of all of our majors, other than this
except
one.
for the President's Cup, which is a big deal.
That is an exhibition.
I know. I'm just saying.
Like,
but
if they wanted to put this out as an exhibition event, by all means, go for it. Put a bunch of money behind it. Do whatever. Awesome. And again, I'm not saying they shouldn't do this. I'm just saying it's not my style. I would rather see stroke play. I would rather say continue. Put on a fantastic stroke play event. You know, it just
and limit the weights of the disc that they can throw.
Like the major, like
the Japan Open major.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean that's stroke play. So tell everyone they have to throw with putters.
Okay.
I mean, as long as it's stroke play, then anything goes.
Pretty close.
Okay, that sounds stupid. All right, we're closing this one up.
We're done.
We're closing this conversation up for at least a week and then some. And quite frankly, I don't need to revisit it until something else significant. Until something else significant comes along.
You say that, but I guarantee you, somebody's going to make a post online, and then you're going to be like, well, so-and-so made a post. And
well, if they're stupid.
Exactly. No. So it's even if it's not significant, do not stick your foot in your mouth.
I'm just saying I do not want to discuss this until there is another significant development, if any. That's where I'll go with it. So
I'm excited for it.
As am I. All right, guys. So what we're going to do is we're going to close out the regular show. As I think we've gotten enough of that. We've gotten Yuli and, of course, Robert Leonard to give us some details on lots of good stuff going on. We're going to close out the regular show here in a moment. We're going to move into the after show, where the after show may still talk a little bit about disc golf, but maybe some topics that aren't related to disc golf. Anything we want. It's the new PDGA majors of after shows. Anything goes here. All right.
Well, our primary show is stroke play. The after show, total different. It's going to be match play.
It is completely open to interpretation. Whatever rules we want to play by, we can do, and that is what's beautiful about it. We do have to thank everyone for joining us. Anyone that super chatted, there were a couple of you guys that jumped in at a significant level. We appreciate our super chat people that got in on the action tonight, and of course all of our Patreon subscribers. And if you're actively out there on the YouTube board, we appreciate it, and on Facebook. Thank you guys for coming along for the wild ride. We will, like I said, get in the after show after we stand down for a moment. So again, for Robert Leonard, for Paul Ulibarri, for Johnny V, and myself, Terry Miller, the disc golf guy, playing by any and all PDGA rules. Thank you. This has been Smashbox episode 334. We'll see you in the after show when you step inside the Smashbox.
Thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is listed below in the credits. If you are interested in being listed as a producer in the SmashBoxxTV credits and supporting this and other fine podcasts, please visit patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxxTV's podcast 334's After Show
Match Play Edition. No, it's too soon.
All right. Well, again, welcome, everyone. We just wrapped up with our regular show, so if you're here for the after show, we appreciate you either sticking around live or, clicking that a little extra button for another download or having to automatically feed in, whatever you're doing. Johnny, it's been a minute, as I hate when the kids say. Where and how can everyone go about making sure that they're all tuned in, ready to go, rip-roaring, and excited about our podcast and the options available to them?
Wow, we haven't really talked about this in a while.
We've gotten lazy.
We just, complacent.
Yeah.
We are live every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Central on the SmashBoxxTV YouTube channel. You can tune in live. Just come to our channel. Join us on the chat board. We clearly talk to people on the board. We steal their ideas. We steal some of their jokes. We talk back with them. We chat back with them. Sometimes I pay attention to that and not the guest, as I'm sure you do.
Never.
Sometimes Terry's checking his phone, see if Nate Heinel messaged him. And if you can't tune in live on a Tuesday night, we have the podcast. We have an audio edition. Well, you could always watch on YouTube after the fact too. But if you wanted to, listen to us while you're doing your long haul across the country and you're, in your Peterbilt, you could download it on any particular podcasting app. You can just look up SmashBoxxTV. We're out there. It's this comes out usually Wednesday morning. The first half of it, the after show, comes out on Friday. But if you want to get access to it immediately, as in tonight, right after this show ends, about 40 minutes after it ends, and I process everything, you can join us on patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV. Become a patron at any level, and you get your own private RSS feed.
That sounds so sexy.
It is. You can put it into any podcasting app, and it'll give you the audio version, or you can check us out on Patreon. If you have the Patreon app, you can log into that, and it's right through there. Those are really the ways to check us out, Terry.
All right. Well, again, thank you guys for doing so. If you want that early access, as Johnny just mentioned, any level of Patreon supporter gets you that super sexy, sultry RSS feed.
Ooh. Let me tell you about my RSS feed.
That's so hot. And, of course, we appreciate each and every one of you. And also on our Patreon, with our Patreon subscriber base, every Tuesday night we have an additional giveaway that is geared toward our Patreon supporters.
Did you contact Christina Linthicum?
Oh, I totally forgot.
Oh, Terry, I've got this.
Let me do it right now.
I've got this box right here. She's probably sleeping because she has a real job.
Oh, she's watching. Okay, she's not. If she's smart.
No.
I will message her right now. You won.
You've won.
That easy. Yeah. Patreon support. I will reach out to her. It just goes to show we'll give away anything to anyone. But every week we do have a giveaway. All you have to do to be eligible is just support us at any level again on Patreon, and that immediately makes you eligible. And then we send you stuff. Sometimes it's a disc. Sometimes it might be a shirt or a hat or a disc member box like we gave away last week. Once a month it's going to be one of those. So, we continue to give those away, and we appreciate it. All right, so in the after show, as we mentioned, we love to interact with you, coming in hot from the message board. If you have stuff or questions you want to ask us or provide super chats like the Garners, we appreciate it. Thank you so much. From Cody and Emily Garner, who had just recently super chatted. Thank you, guys. I'm excited, and I know I touched on this briefly, but I am excited. Going back to Arizona for the Maricopa Meadows this weekend, or the Maricopa Open, technically, 8th annual Maricopa Open. I think I've been to, this would be my 6th, so I'm kind of it almost feels like a resident there. Aside from this weekend and that event, there's not a ton of our top-level pros playing at a lot of events right now, and I know that might sound kind of obvious because you think of the off-season, but I'm just surprised we're not seeing people gearing up a little bit more this year. It feels like the itch to play, the itch to compete a lot of people trimmed back their overall workload last year, though. I know the Pro Tour went off, and there were a lot of great events. Do not get me wrong, but there's people that played 32 or are used to playing 38 events, maybe only got in 28, and people that played 28 maybe only got in 19. I just figured people would be
no. I think it's more of a time of year. People
they're okay being off.
They're okay being off. They're okay taking the break. Like, it would be different if there was no disc golf due to COVID, but we got a disc golf season. It wasn't as full as some people normally have, but I feel like it's a time. Like, these guys know their bodies are used to a specific thing. I play during this time. I rest during this time. And that's why break that habit? Why they're going to start getting ramped up in the next probably 2 weeks to really kind of start to get that disc golf blood flowing for the Pro Tour opener. And then, some of them even earlier for the All-Star weekend.
Sure.
But I just think people are fine relaxing and kind of taking it slowly, that they know that they're about to get as much disc golf as they want from starting in a month. From a month from now, they're going to live, eat, breathe, sleep disc golf.
Okay. Well, either way, I'm super excited. Now, here's something I thought about bringing up in the regular show that we didn't have time for. This weekend at Maricopa, they had pre-approved with the players, the competitors in question, during our first round of coverage, which has been fan voted, and it's been done a number of different ways for the last few years. But this year, we're gonna have a mixed card first round, and that mixed card. This is a spoiler. Actually, it's already on the internet. The mixed card will include Anthony Barella, Adam Hammes, Jennifer Allen, and Katrina Allen. Before you get any further, Jennifer and Katrina are not in any way related. I'm just throwing that out in case we have some newer viewers. They're not related. But Jennifer and Katrina, Anthony and Adam, and the first question I asked when that was presented to me is
same tee pads.
Yeah, same tees.
I didn't know if they
out
had
at Maricopa. Yeah. The first round is at Copper Sky for those familiar with Maricopa. There's 2 courses now there. There's the Copper Sky course, and then there's the Maricopa Meadows course. I had asked. I said, was this all pre-approved? Did everybody? He said, yeah, everything's was all arranged and okayed. I'm excited.
We used to see a lot more of this
way back when
ago.
You and I started.
Yeah, you'd go to a local event and it would just be it'd be mixed. It didn't matter. You could get put with a junior, a masters player, an FPO player, or a rec player. It didn't matter.
And just a quick clarification on that. Those were also more commonly when you'd go to a tournament, and if there were 72 or 90 total players, everybody played on the same day, so there might be literally 15 divisions all at a tournament on the same day. That wasn't incredibly uncommon. Now, by today's growth in standards, usually you have a set of divisions playing on a Saturday and a set of divisions playing on a Sunday, so that's a little less, they're even more divided in that sense. But yeah, when you and I started, I think of one of our favorite places to go was over to Larry LeBon's LLK Zoo over in Kalamazoo, and it was by design that when every first round, that when you played events over there, he intentionally mixed up. He'd have 4 different divisions on the same card: Open, Juniors, a women's division representative, and a Masters or whatever. It didn't matter. I've always loved that. I understand lots of people have their beef with it, and now they are to not, they're to avoid that as much as possible. But that used to be like a thing, big time. And international play, I think to this day does it very frequently.
I love it. I really like it. I think any B tier and below, that should be an option for someone. I don't even think you should have to ask for any sort of permission from the PDGA. I just think that can be there is something a lot of fun about playing with new players, different skill set players. Assuming everybody has the same T-pads. I personally am not a fan of, hey, guess what? You're mixed with 3 other people.
And there's 3 sets of T's here.
Sets of T's, and so you have to throw back here, but then, the
next person throws.
Next person throws because they're up there. But wait, they had a better score than me, but how come I'm through? That gets too confusing. Assuming the course has all the same T-pads, I love it. I really do. And poop on you if you are one of those players that are like, no, I need to play in my division with my... you're no fun. You're no fun. Give me B tiers and below. I'm good with that.
Well, it is. It should be exciting. Of course, Katrina's been out in Arizona throughout the off season. Jennifer, of course, lives in Arizona, and then Adams, who has also been out there. It should be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to them attacking the Copper Sky course. And I just wanted to throw that out there ahead of time because immediately there's also going to be, and rightfully so, there's going to be a little confusion. Be like, huh? What are we watching? Because it's going to have those 4 players, and it's going to be a little out of the norm for this first round of coverage. And also, just to clarify, it will be 2 rounds of 27 at Copper Sky, and then it's 27 over there at Maricopa Meadows. I really, really waver on this every single year, but I think I'm stuck in the idea of doing a 14-13 split as opposed to 9-9-9. I feel like it's too easy to kind of almost lose attention, no matter how good the golf is.
Front and back half, I think that's
right. So you'll also likely see it go that way with a 13-14 or a 14-13 split in terms of how the coverage all comes out. So anyway, I wanted to throw that out there. I am looking forward to it, and we'll see what happens on this first round mixed card.
Christy M brings up a good point. The opposite of what I was saying. She's like, it kind of sucks for women when you struggle to get a full card of players, meaning FPL players, and then the TD puts 1 woman on a card with 4 men. Like,
valid point.
100% right. Like, I can completely see that where we do have a problem getting enough women, and then to take a woman, especially if she's new, that maybe doesn't know anybody, and stick her on a card with people she has no clue, it could put her in a very uncomfortable situation. And I get that. I'm selfish a little bit. Like, on one hand, I think, yes, that is a problem. On the other hand, I think people are friendly. Like, she could be playing with Terry or me or you, Christy, or Paul Ulibarri. Like, it is awkward. It can be awkward for everybody, but I can understand how it could be off-putting for especially a new player.
Yeah, yeah.
But you could say that about any division. Like,
of course.
You could say that about a junior. Like,
sure.
Oh, guess what? This 14-year-old kid who's played 3 events, now he's going to play with John,
with a pro woman
and a pro woman and Paul Ulibarri. So I get it. There are definitely pros and cons to it.
Yeah. Well, super excited to see the whole crew and collection of people out there this weekend. I know I said that before, but I can't say it enough. Robert McCall is out on the board. I think Robert, I know we touched on it last week, but Robert, of course, leaving Disc Golf Answer Man, leaving
That's
his
not how
role.
I heard it. I heard.
Well, he's leaving. The question is on whose accord, right?
Zach Melton.
Zach called for it.
Zach actually made the call.
Okay.
And pulled Robert's sponsorship.
Okay. Zach's like, hey, I'm going to get this knee surgery, and we need to bump up my sponsorship, so let's just get rid of Robert McCall.
Basically.
Sounds legit to me.
I love just spreading random rumors. Completely fake.
No, that sounds good to me.
We mentioned it last week, but Robert is moving to the Texas. The Texas to be closer to family because of his.
I heard he took a job, and he was going to be like one of the co-hosts with the Joe Rogan podcast.
Oh, that could be.
Makes sense.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, bring his talents, where they can be appreciated. Speaking of Joe Rogan, I'll sidetrack briefly, which is what we do in the after
Set
show.
Yourself up for that.
No, it wasn't intentional though. Just my mind connects some dots occasionally. Ben Askren, gonna be stepping back inside the ring, and not necessarily with someone who you would expect.
No, It's not. It's with Jake Paul.
Yeah.
Which is weird because he's stepping in not for an MMA match, for a boxing match.
Yeah.
Straight boxing. No match play. Stroke play.
Oh, you damn formats.
The format got him again.
How dare they?
Which I think is weird because, of all things, Ben wasn't known for his striking. He was
stand-up striking ability. Yep.
He's a ground and pound kind of guy. And this is the point. It's got me slightly interested in this.
Okay.
Normally, anything with Jake Paul on it, I kind of want to throw up. But I like Ben Askren.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to have to keep it down and hope that Ben Askren pounds his face in. I mean...
yeah. Johnny nor myself, if this isn't already evident or obvious, neither of us are hardcore boxing or MMA aficionados or buffs or barely on the fringe of knowing much. My biggest tie, I feel like, to MMA is just simply knowing Ben Askren.
Correct.
And that's about it. There's maybe a fringe above that, but that's about it. I know from Jake Paul's and his brother's presence on YouTube that they are personally not my cup of tea. That's great that they're wildly successful and billionaires and have all these followings and, have done all these great entrepreneurial things. Good for them. Like, great. I just, I have a hard time digesting any of
the content
of the spew that just comes out of I've given them a chance. I've listened to parts of his podcast when he's had people on, and not for me. So if we weren't already in funky Ben Askren's corner already, we certainly are now. So
Captain Moistbeard on the port says, I pirated it. The stream, which is probably my favorite comment of the night. Thank you. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Were you up on the MMAs from this weekend at all? No. Okay.
No, I saw Conor McGregor lost. He said something.
I think that's literally the only story.
Someone kept kicking him in the leg and it hurt his leg, and then he got beat up.
Yep.
Like, that's okay, cool. I kind of think, all right, Conor, like, you're past your prime. Like,
potentially. And the funny thing about him, though,
it'll be him fighting Jake Paul next.
I think the funny thing is that there's obviously so much to be said about your branding and marketing and so on and so forth. I don't know anything about MMA, like I just admitted. I know the most I know revolved around either Ronda Rousey a few years ago or Conor McGregor, and outside of that, and of course, I think that is a testament to what we see in every sport. You have your headliners, you have your names that either bring people in or they care about them, and then nothing else. I see that obviously unfold more and more within disc golf, and it's also provided a little parody for me because you do think like, oh my gosh, someone doesn't know a so and so, whether that's a Ken Climo or even someone much more recent. You think of that, and then you're like, no, I'm that guy. In the MMA world, I know Conor McGregor, I know Nate Diaz, and like three other people. That's it. And I couldn't give you any other storylines. Nope. That's it. And so it does provide a little bit of parody and clarity for me as well. We'll sidetrack, not too political. Sidetrack to the Bernie meme that did fly around ever since about this time last week.
It was everywhere. If you think of it, close your eyes and think of a picture. Any picture. Someone put Bernie in it. Just as a quick side note. It's funny to me, I guess, if you're really for or really against him, I guess I can see how that really got you upset, but there's a lot of people that were really just bent out. To me, I felt like, whether you love or hate Bernie, I felt like it was one of the lightest it wasn't
political stances.
Political.
That's my point.
It wasn't political. It just happened to be with a political person.
Yeah, and that's what I thought. Wow, like our country kind of could lightly chuckle, love it or hate it.
Yeah,
you could lightly chuckle for a moment, but
I'm sure
obviously that got worked up. I know.
I was in an awkward position this weekend because of that.
Yeah, what's new?
So, for those of you that happen to catch the Twitch stream this weekend, I helped stream my cousin's wedding. It was a very small thing. I think they had a total of like 35 people there.
Okay.
And
Bernie was sitting in a chair there.
No, but I was sitting at a table with my aunt, who has blocked me on Facebook for political reasons. So
awkward.
She gave me not the warmest reception when we saw, but everything was fine after a little bit. You know, we were sitting around the table because it was mostly direct family. It was my grandmother and her and whatever. We're sitting there. And someone had brought up the Bernie meme, and we're all chuckling about it. And I look over, and she's not laughing. And she is very far right. I am not so far right. I am more left. And she wasn't, I don't think she found the Bernie thing funny hardly at all. And I kind of chuckled at that internally too. But we're all talking about it, and I started to feel a little bit awkward because we're all talking like, oh yeah, did you see on Facebook this one and this one? Someone put him here, and all I kept thinking is like, I don't know if she's
not having it.
She's not having it, and you're like, because she maybe didn't see it on Facebook because she blocked me. It was awkward.
Or maybe she's moved on from Facebook.
No,
to other greener, better pastures of social media.
Would you say like a different parlor where she would be in?
I'm just saying maybe she's moved on. That's
which brings me to my next point, the camera. I get blurry now when I get closer because I think it's in manual focus. I used this camera to stream the wedding, and as I told Terry, we were setting it up on this little chintzy tripod that we have, and I have this really big thick HDMI cable, and we were going to move it, and I was probably 20 feet away from the cable or from the camera. My wife was next to the camera. We were moving this big cable, and the whole thing tipped over. The camera itself crashed right into the ground. The little flip out side shattered. I was worried that we literally broke the entire camera less than 30 minutes before the wedding I was supposed to help stream. Thankfully, after a reboot, the camera came back on. But unfortunately now, because I changed all the settings on the camera before to make sure it like white balance, all that stuff, it's really hard to do it now because I've got no side screen on the camera to mess with the whole menu setup. So I just set this up 10 minutes before the podcast tonight. It was sitting and a thing. So, which is why it's a little different. I think it's
I think the board has nailed it. To cut you off, the board has nailed it. They just think that it's just focused just behind us.
It probably focused on this on
the actual wall as opposed to us
because it's in manual focus. And I think I adjusted it when we weren't sitting here, and I put it in focus. But then we sat down, and so I believe you're right. It's probably focused just a little bit behind us. We'll get it fixed up for next week, but you're right. It is just a hair
we
off.
should have probably opened the entire show tonight by telling everyone that was the case, considering Ryan and others think that they needed their glasses adjusted tonight. So
it's just a hair off. It's just a hair off.
My hair's never off,
No,
Johnny.
it's not. It's you and Robert McCall.
I mean, even tonight.
So
okay.
So anyway, so that's the story. That's why the camera is just a hair blurry on us. I'll get it fixed up hopefully for next week. It took me long enough just to get the colors set because the place we were in was like a hall, a dining hall. So it was really bright and the walls were beige. And so it really changed the color of the camera when you did a white balance, and you wanted to make sure that the dress looked white and all this other crazy stuff. And then when I come in here, everything was really off. It was like very blue. And so I had to try to adjust it in like the last 5 minutes as you were walking in. And I just kind of said, all right, whatever, just focused it and got it. So, my wife chimes in on the board. Get off my case, because she was standing next to the camera when it tipped over. But not.
And she
totally
didn't
her
save
fault.
it.
She didn't. She had her back to it actually because she was moving the cable, and all I could do was turn around as I'm watching it tip over, and I couldn't get a word out. I was just making noises like, and I couldn't spit out, "Hey, the camera's falling. Please turn around and stop it."
This is what I deal with, people.
I know. So I know that the 6-year-old camera.
My 6-year-old cameras work. I don't throw them around. My cameras aren't in the MMA here. All right,
Mister. I'm not even getting it. No.
All right.
I think you've gone through a few cameras.
I've upgraded.
You've sent them into Squarespace at least once or twice.
To be fair, one of them. It's so funny that it actually. This is a kind of a quick side note. One of my cameras, the thread on the bottom. Everybody knows how a camera threads in with like a monopod or a tripod. That got stripped, not by me, by one of my cameramen at one point, but that got stripped. And when I sent it in, I feel like that's literally, that's not even that's a hardware, that's not like mechanical, that's not a moving part. It's just literally like a little plate that's mounted in the bottom of the camera. Mm-hmm. You would think it'd be super easy for them to take that out and put a new one in. They sent me a message and said, hey, we can't fix this.
That's crazy.
And then they sent me a check to replace the entire camera after I'd had it for 2 years. So if anything, this is a long-winded plug for Squarespace. SquareTrade. I have Squarespace. We don't need a website. Yeah. I have been wildly impressed any and every time I've ever had to use SquareTrade to I don't want to say cash in, but to make a claim for any components of any kind that I've ever had. And there's been one phone maybe and one or two camera components, things of that nature. So this is not sponsored by SquareTrade, but if you buy an expensive piece of equipment and SquareTrade is $50 or $80 or $100 to throw it on top of it to get 3 or 4 additional years, do it all the time. Because if they can't fix it, they will literally just send you a check for the original new price of that item. And probably 3 years later or 4 years later, you're getting a significantly upgraded piece of equipment for the same price. So this not brought to you by SquareTrade. All right. What else did we see on the socials? Some people are talking about maybe a video release by one Paige Pierce. I guess she had referenced something. I admit I did not. Yeah, I did not see this myself. But
there's apparently going to be a 6,000 word Sports Illustrated piece.
Seriously, 6,000? Is that a lot? That's a lot, right? Sounds like a lot.
Sounds like a lot about disc golf. And she was interviewed about it.
Oh, awesome.
That's the extent I know. I don't know when it's going to come out. I don't know where it's going to be found. I know Sports Illustrated has just released or just announced like a paywall on their website. And I don't know if it's going to be behind the paywall. I don't know if it's going to be in the magazine. I'm not sure. I'm not even sure how much cachet Sports Illustrated has anymore, to be honest. With
Alta World out there.
No, in general, with news sources, like with all the all the websites.
Is
now,
it still a gold standard of any kind?
I think they're probably, and if I were them, they could probably focus on long form like this, long form interviews, long form stories, because your day-to-day stuff is just not for them anymore. It's no one.
You don't need it that way.
You don't need it that way. Weekly or monthly or whatever Sports Illustrated came out, you just don't need it that way anymore because everybody gets their thing. So if they were to focus on long form content, I think that's the way to go. And maybe they do, and I haven't paid attention to Sports Illustrated in forever.
I'm sure Michael Jordan's still on the cover.
I doubt it.
Should be. He's the GOAT. Hey, real quick. Don't be concerned. The wrong times. I'll just say it.
This is got to be good. It's got to be good.
No, I understand there's a little bit of there'll be backlash, but and this is coming from a Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, Green Bay Packer fan. But is Tom Brady not is that story not incredible?
He's the best quarterback ever. Now, again, you want to talk about is he the most skilled quarterback ever? No,
he's not the fastest, and
he's never been the most. Aaron Rodgers, if you want to put them on a field and have who can throw further, who's more accurate, that's fine. Tom Brady finds a way to get it done. Tom Brady's in general had a lot of good defenses on his team. Aaron Rodgers hasn't, but that's just an excuse. I mean, there's no one's going to touch.
This will be his 10th Super Bowl.
No one is going to touch Brady's records. He is the best quarterback in the league for multiple reasons. Not the most skilled, but the best. Again, and it's the way I would put, is Paul Macbeth the most skilled player on the course? I don't know. You could make an argument he's not. You could look at Eagle and say, Eagle's long distance putt is a little bit better. He's got a slightly better forehand. But when it comes down to it, Paul Macbeth wins. And that's what matters. Paul Macbeth finds a way to win. He is a winner. He likes to win a lot. And then he wins again because he's a winner.
When he gets lucky.
I mean, he wins at being lucky. I mean, he's the best guy at getting lucky too. That's just how it works. But you could definitely make an argument that, you know, there are other people more skilled than him.
Sure. Okay. Well, yeah.
And that's the way I feel about Tom Brady. Like, Paul Macbeth is like a parallel, so to speak, to Tom Brady in that they are winners. They find a way to win.
Again, I would have loved to see the Packers win. I'm a Packers fan, all that good stuff. I think the story is incredible, and again, I'm a fringe football fan, but to know of the legacy and everything that happened in New England for all of those years, and I know there's a lot of criticisms and good teams and cheating and what I get it, I understand all of that. I'm not dismissing all of that, but to see and just to hear, even as a fringe football fan, to hear of what happened all those years in New England and to see and experience all of that. And then this is the first year New England doesn't make the playoffs. And conversely, Tom goes to a brand new team, not only makes the playoffs, but goes to his now 10th Super Bowl. I don't understand any other arguments. And call me naive, and that's fine. You can. Yeah. I just don't understand an argument how you can't say how good he clearly
he is. I mean,
must be. As much as you may hate him.
Yeah. And I'm rooting against him.
Yeah,
for the Super
of course.
Bowl.
Okay.
In general, I'd rather see the Chiefs win again. But he stepped into a good position in this Tampa Bay, and that's part of what he did in the offseason. They started out with 2 of probably the top 5 receivers in the league, and then they picked up Antonio Brown, who got hurt, he's got his issues and whatnot.
So I've heard.
They have a solid defense, and they picked up Leonard Fournette, who's a great running back. You know, now that he's probably on the right team, you know, the team he was on didn't seem to work out well for him. Well, this team does. So, you know, Tom Brady made the smart choice. He went to a team that needed a quarterback. They needed a piece, and he fit that puzzle. Great for him, man. That takes a lot of skill to make that decision. He probably could have gone to a couple other places. He could have gone to the Chargers, probably. He could have gone maybe to another team. He picked the right team. Good for him.
Apparently he did some of the right things. So anyway, I'm not
and I'm still rooting against him.
Yeah. Again, I understand. You guys everybody can hate him, and that's fine too.
I don't hate him. I'm just rooting.
I just think it's incredible. I think this story at face value is incredible for him to leave and then go to a Super Bowl with, you know.
It is
that's all.
I mean, is there a parallel with Macbeth going to Discraft and then winning? You could try to make that parallel. I don't know if it's the same, but
I mean, obviously, I think a whole lot of those arguments, get challenged right off the bat of a team versus individual sport. But I do understand where you're going with it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. As I'm scrolling, I'm trying to think about any of the other good stuff that we saw on the social medias this last week. Maybe you guys have something that we do or don't need to touch on. I guess I just try and think of like anything major that really has jumped out that's been new or fresh since last week, and I can't come up with any off the top of my head, unless you have something that you were thinking of. All right. Well, why don't you get the drawing ready? And here it is.
Right now.
I think I teased it last week for the 3rd week in a row, but this is it. Stuff gets serious tomorrow morning. We and the Boda Brothers want to give away free birdie games. Maybe every week, quite often, at least, if not every week. We want to give away free birdie board games. And so starting tomorrow, we need you to post your best shot of the week.
You need to tell
or birdie of the week. We'll work out a few of the details here that we're going to post, but you need to be posting them so that we can then make a selection and then award free games that the Boda Brothers, a.k.a. Steve and Todd Dodge, will then send you a free birdie game. I don't know how much better it gets than us doing that.
Would it be good for them to post it to like YouTube and send us the link?
Well, I think that's what we have to finalize because we've been talking about it for a month.
And I'm leaving that up to Terry Miller.
Yeah, great. Yeah, thanks.
You arrange this with Mr. Dodges, and I'm going to leave this one up to you to coordinate all the details on how our fantastic viewers can win these birdie games.
But the point is, get your videos ready so that we can then start issuing free birdie games, all, of course, brought to you by the Boda Brothers. So that's what I wanted to make sure that everybody knows.
Every game comes with a free friend.
Yeah. I'm not going to say who that is.
You get to pick either Steve or Todd. One of them will be your friend.
Ryan says, but I already have the birdie board with game expansions. What will you give me?
Another birdie game.
Yeah. You need a backup, right?
I think he actually has two.
When your house gets lit on fire, you're going to need a backup stored off-site.
That's awkward. That was
I know where you live, Ryan.
menacing.
All right. Well, I'm just saying we'll make something work for you. Daddy Disc Golf says, I already have 2 unopened games, Miss Friends. Well, hey, and to answer you, if you guys already have one, it makes for a great raffle prize of your own. It makes for a great donation to make to your local club or a fundraising effort. It means go out and this spring have a course cleanup day, and the person that picks up the most garbage, you award a free game to, or you have a course cleanup month, and for every hour someone works, you give them a raffle ticket, and one of the prizes ends up being this birdie game. I mean, come on, people.
Call Terry with the ideas. His phone number is 414.
So easy. We can make that happen one way or another. Or some people are saying I already had 2 copies because they sent me one too many.
Yes, there was an issue with shipping.
Well, that's another story.
Daddy Disc Golf says, so who's going to replace Jamie Thomas at the Ulta World podcast?
Ooh, inside scoop.
We don't know.
Oh,
I don't think there's been a decision yet.
Are they taking applications?
They are.
Okay.
Well,
nobody tagged me on LinkedIn.
There was a reason for that.
Because my LinkedIn isn't a Premier account. That's why.
Correct. That is the reason that nobody tagged you for that.
Huh?
No, because Charlie said it would require some actual research and prep.
Yeah, I've got all that
right
here. The research is in my head. I just have to find the right file.
I got the biggest kick out of this. I was listening to the Upshot this weekend, and they were talking about this group of guys who are professional axe throwers who join the sport, who join this. They created a blog, and they're like, yeah, there's a parallel for this. And Charlie was saying something like, man, I'd love to know if there's any sort of overlap between professional axe throwers and disc golf. And right away I thought Rebecca Hall Duffy.
Yeah.
I jokingly sent him a message that you young man on our board of directors was Rebecca Hall Duffy, who was a championship axe thrower in a former life, years and years ago. She's an in general all around outdoors woman, but she was a professional axe thrower on our board of directors. And I just kind of got a chuckle out of it because they were him and Jamie. I thought Jamie would remember, but no, I guess it was just us. I guess, that type of research, it only comes from upstairs.
Yeah, or, I mean, if we're going to go with a little recency bias, I mean, did you not just watch J.C. Kester on my coverage last week? That guy throws overhands 500-600 feet.
Yeah, but was he a professional axe thrower?
No, but I just think
then shut up.
the throw is similar. I think he could go the other way and immediately become a professional axe thrower.
Maybe.
Already a good disc golfer. It's a no-brainer. He clearly has to be good at axe throwing. Would you doubt at all that he would, if he can throw, if he is a 1,000+ rated player-ish, and throws overhands for 95% of his drives?
Sure, I would doubt it.
You don't think he could step right into being a damn good axe thrower next week?
Do you think if he'd never picked up a dart next week, he could be a damn good dart thrower?
No, because I think darts and axe throwing.
How do you know? You don't know how to throw an axe.
You want to bet? I do.
Do you?
No.
Okay. It could be totally different form. Like
I understand what you're saying.
So no, I would doubt. Now, I'm not saying he couldn't. It could equate. It could be almost identical.
I give him the advantage over any other golfer I know. How about that?
Kirk Gatling. Suck it.
You pull him out of retirement in Minnesota from 1998. You get him.
Most epic overhand thrower I ever saw.
Well,
in person.
you haven't seen JC in person.
I have not seen him in person. I've seen him on coverage. But.
Well,
that's just for you Midwest folks from a long time ago.
Oh yeah. Timmy Gill, you know what I'm talking about. We know you're watching.
All right, we have a giveaway, Terry.
All right, you do that while people continue to discuss who they'd like to see on the upshot. Robert McCall's name is getting thrown around. Elaine King. Also, I saw Hannah Macbeth.
Hannah has her own podcast.
I mean, I don't see a reason why she couldn't do others or more. I mean, hers is also, I think, really specific.
It is.
So I don't think that'd be crazy to see her jump into another one if it was different enough for her.
Correct. One of the things I think they're looking for is, and it's gonna be very difficult, is to find someone without any specific ties to manufacturers
or obvious bias.
Obviously,
bias.
It's gonna be very difficult.
Yeah, it is.
Which is one of the reasons I think everyone threw out Robert McCall's name now that he was fired from DD.
Yeah.
He was not fired. I don't want to start that rumor. I think that's.
I think we can.
Can we?
Yeah.
Okay.
We can do whatever we want.
Yeah. But see what happened is he lost in an arm wrestling competition to Bobby and had to leave the state.
that seems.
Those were the rules.
Yeah. Albeit strange, it seems 100% plausible.
It's a very strange DD custom.
Yes, exactly.
That you always have to arm wrestle Bobby, and if you lose, you have to get kicked out of the state. So it's a DD thing, man. You just don't know. Anyway, we have 200 people eligible for our giveaway tonight. And if you want to be eligible, as we said earlier, patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV. For any amount, you become eligible for our giveaway. This week, Terry is going to dig something up out of his magic treasure trove of discs, and we will get something out to you. Terry, I was going to ask you what number we picked, but I think I'm just going to go with number 2. The new PDGA event has 2 formats. We had
10-2, 10-2.
We had 2
scores we're expecting.
So I'm going to go with the number 2.
All right, I'll be okay with that.
Exactly 200. So our first number we generate, they're sorted by first name, by the way. Again, from the same as last week.
So lazy.
First number was 72. Second number is 43. So I'm
going to guess in the 40s.
43.
It's going to start with
Chris
K.
Neal. Wrong with a C. Gosh, Miller. Seriously, wow. Chris Miller. Congratulations, Chris Miller. Not Chris with a K, but it's Chris with a C. I'm sorry, did I say Miller? Chris Neal. I'm looking at you.
Oh, yeah. Giving me a
you.
hard time.
Chris
okay.
Neal.
All right.
I got you. You're a $1 patron. Have been a patron for like the last year and a half. So thank you very much, Chris.
It's
Neal.
all about to pay off, Chris.
We will reach out to you for your wonderful, wonderful prize.
All right. Well, thank you. We do appreciate it. So some follow-up questions. Someone posted a couple hours ago saying, I'm only here to find out if Terry picked up some random guy on the way home the other night last week after our Good Samaritan / hitchhiking discussion. Just to clarify out there. And no, unfortunately, I did not. I took, instead of driving a little out of my way and getting on the highway to make my trip like 90% highway, I intentionally drove for almost the exact same amount of time. I drove through the city, or outside of, through Milwaukee, essentially, and a couple of the suburbs before then getting on the highway to go the rest of the way out to my house. And I saw 0 pedestrians, 0 people outside in any capacity. Again, granted, it was about 2 a.m. I do think about how that's roughly bar time in a normal situation. But I saw no one. Otherwise, I would have at least rolled down the window and offered the ride as I had promised you guys. But no. No one.
I'm through season 1 of Fargo. It was as good as everybody said.
All that matters is, will I like it?
Yes, I think you will.
Okay. Tell me it's Netflix.
It is Hulu.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Okay. Will I need your login?
Yes.
Okay.
It's very good. It's
Okay.
very, very good. And we're into season 2 now, so I'm looking forward. We're like halfway into season 2. Excited. It's so good. Everybody was right when they said it's so very
funny, witty.
A little bit. You and I would find it funny. I mean, we're from Wisconsin. It's based mostly in Minnesota.
Okay.
So it's
a little bit of our accents.
it's a lot. It is a lot of accent. It's very Minnesota friendly.
Yeah.
It's funny, and
appreciate the humor.
There's definitely some humor in it. You can for sure. Yep.
Yeah.
Please and thank you.
Yeah.
You got that. And okay then. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of okay then.
Okay.
Okay then.
To be fair, there's clearly some stereotypical references that I'm sure Johnny and I fall into on the daily that we don't realize that you guys pick up. But I don't feel like we're 100% tagged and dialed in as
I'm sure
but I guess we probably are to others. Yeah.
I'm sure we have something in our accent and certain words we say.
Yeah.
But we're not, trust us when we say we're not nearly as bad as some people when you get to northern Wisconsin or even up into northern Minnesota.
Yeah.
All the way over to North Dakota. That is that is your typical. Like,
and for you geography buffs, that also is like right along the border of Canada. So when
Canada's the one above us.
Yes.
If you're looking at a map.
Yeah. Bag, pasta. You guys are all now throwing out words. Golly. Yeah, golly's not a word Johnny and I would ever.
No, I say golly.
You do?
Yeah.
Golly gee.
I say golly, I say geez. Geesh sometimes. Like,
yeah,
ooh, geesh.
okay, yeesh.
The ope occasionally. Ope. That's a.
I know that's a big Charlie Barron's.
Yeah. That
Manitowoc Minute one too.
That's in my vocabulary.
Okay, we'll go with that. Your accent shows a little bit here and there is what's coming up. I we'll go with that.
Someone asked, "Are you a soda or pop person?" Soda.
Which, to be fair, now I'm stuck on saying that, using that reference too, as Ryan continues to do too. Funny thing is, we grew up calling it pop, but once you took a job, like Subway, at the age of 14 illegally, I really loved my Subway. Once I took a job at Subway, you were then instructed to say, "Would you like chips, soda, or cookies?" Right? That was the line: chips, soda, or cookies. That's when my vernacular. That's when everything changed from referencing it as pop, which is how I grew up. I never probably the day before I worked at Subway, I never once used the word soda ever.
We call it a pop now and again.
You'd call it. It was a pop. Would you like some pop? I'm going to get a pop. Give me a pop. Like, that's what was said here primarily in Wisconsin. But then when I took a job and I worked at the Subway, like I said, the phrase was, "Would you like chips, soda, or cookie?" You wouldn't say, "Would you like chips, pop, or cookies?" And then at that point, my life changed for the worse. Well, not because of Subway, because I changed it to soda. So that's that's the story you guys didn't ask for. And yes,
that's what the after show's for.
Well, let me tell you, I can't say enough about how much I got interested. Also, to totally date us, Subway was just becoming a thing when you and I were in like 5th, 6th, 7th-ish grade, maybe just after that. I was in a volunteer youth program at the local YMCA that my buddy was in. It was a youth in government program, which really I didn't care much about governmental procedures. It just meant at the end of like the 6 or 8 months, you took a trip to Madison, Wisconsin, which is our capital. You took a trip there, and you really just kind of got to goof off in hotels and in the state capitol for a few days. Like, that was kind of the end goal. And my buddy's friend was a lawyer, and friend's dad was a lawyer, and I'm glad where I was in it. But anyway, we'd go to that every Monday night, and there was one of the only Subways in the area at that time was a block away from the YMCA. So we'd make it a thing. That was kind of our thing. You'd go there, you'd get a sub, and then you'd go to the youth and government program. And after going in there a few times, and then again, this was the earliest days of Subway, where you got one stamp for a 6-inch, two for a foot long, and you had to get like 24 of them, which they changed up later. 24 of them to get a free foot long, and they had
so many
Pepsi
stories.
products. I mean, these were the nostalgia, because then that ultimately created me not just liking Subway too much, but then working that job off and on, or various Subways or multiple Subways at once by different owners for like the next 6 or 8 years of my life.
Correct.
It was always the part-time job in addition to one or two other jobs that I had.
When
and it was
when
great.
Terry and I first started hanging out, it would be, hey, let's, as you do when you're younger, get off with your job, go find some place to hang out. Inevitably, we worked at Best Buy together, but then you would also work on the side at Subway sometimes. It'd be like, cool, just meet me at the Subway. And I would hang out at Subway waiting for Terry to close the shop and just sit there and maybe eat a meatball sub and do whatever. Like
unlimited soda. I mean, come on.
You can't go wrong with that. I mean, there are some statute of limitation things that I don't know. Let's just say we ate very well on a spring break one year.
Yeah. It was a good job. And of course, I feel like I learned a lot. I worked a ton of hours. I've always worked a ton, and whenever I could, like I said, that was always, and if you move to a new city, whether it was when you coming to college or wherever the case, there was always a Subway somewhere. And so getting a job there was quite easy to do. And those were a big deal. I mean, talking pre-Cousins days, and then obviously Quiznos came along and so on and so forth. But
back when you used to make, was it the V-gouge? The
U-gouge.
Yep.
The 2-finger U-gouge, a long, long lost art. And I can speak of art because, of course, I'm a sandwich artist. A certified sandwich artist. And yes, just to kind of bring this full circle, I get annoyed as F going into most Subways these days and watching kids these days and the inefficiencies and how slow and terrible most Subway. There's times where I still want to jump over the counter and be like, just get out of my way. You're terrible.
I'll make it myself.
I don't know. And yes, as the board had said, to really date stamp this for some of you, this was also when Happy Gilmore, that was one of the product integrations when Happy Gilmore is trying to raise money and says, oh, nothing tastes as good. And then they actually screwed up the sandwich. There's no, whatever they said, I don't even remember, but it wasn't a real sandwich. And that's back when Pepsi was integrated with Subway, and that led into my addiction to Mountain Dew. Oh, God, I got stories. That aren't just me being employee of the month at the first store in Kensington, on Kensington Ave. Someday, I feel like is it crazy that I still want to own a Subway someday?
A little bit, but
why? Should I? Does that not sound like a good, like? I mean, I wouldn't work at it. I wouldn't work there 40 or 50 hours.
I think owning any restaurant is never a good idea, just in general. It's just such a small margin for success, and then you're constantly dealing with high schoolers probably working for you. Unreliable work in general. I think of most fast food employees, not always, but generically speaking, I think it's a bigger headache than it's worth. Now, I think if you're truly passionate about being a restaurateur of a fast food variety and you love Subway, then by all means. But if you want to just be like, I just want to own a Subway because I used to work at one and it's cool, and I think I just don't think it's the best idea for you.
I don't know. I love the idea. I'm not saying. I'm just saying it could still happen. I have not ruled it out. I always thought that I would.
Nothing's ruled out.
It may happen someday. All right. So a couple people have asked tonight, and we'll just touch on it briefly, and maybe you guys can enlighten us. Yes, it was announced today that the San Francisco Open is moving up to Stockton, 90 minutes northeast-ish of San Francisco, and it's now the OTB Open.
Correct.
I apologize if I think it's the OTB Open.
OTBO.
I know OTB is the presenting sponsor. Not to sound, in no way am I trivializing it. I'm just saying trivializing it. That should smooth things right over. I'm just saying I don't know if there's much more that we need to know besides that. It's not happening in San Francisco. Huge shout out to OTB, of course. They've been just ginormous sponsors of disc golf, of individual players, of skins matches, of everything. So to see that happen, and then the Sean's taking it over.
Their podcasts make ours look so much better.
They do a podcast?
They do a few podcasts.
It's my favorite. It's my favorite podcast. I'm
just giving them a hard time. I do listen to their podcasts occasionally.
So yeah, if you guys have something else to add on to it, because a bunch of people have asked if we talked about it. I don't know if there's much of a story outside of it. And that's what I'm saying. I'm not trying to minimize it in any way. It's awesome. I just don't have any more to it than it's moved and it's got the new name, which is exciting.
It is.
Do you think?
I mean,
does this mean? I think one of the bigger questions is: do you feel like we'll see a return to San Francisco and to Glen Eagles at any point, or in addition to this, in moving forward, or are we just done at Glen Eagles? I guess that's the big takeaway.
I don't know for sure, but I tend to ride the wave of what's working. So if we go to Stockton, it's a success. The course is nice. We will stay there. That's my thought. I don't know. No one's decided anything. I had no clue about any of this stuff until today. Mm-hmm. But I can't imagine them going back to Glen Eagles if this works out this year. If everyone
What about in addition is really my question. Could we have a San Francisco Open and an OTB Open?
We could, but I think that puts a lot of stress in a small area on one crew. Because Sean Jack, who now works for the Disc Golf Pro Tour, was instrumental in running that San Francisco Open. I think to try to pull sponsorship for two events would be very difficult. So I just feel that it would have to be a huge monster success in order for them to look at it and go, well, maybe two events are good in this area. I'm not sure. Which is too. I mean, Glen Eagles is a great course. It's so much fun to watch on camera. Like the elevation is phenomenal. Mm-hmm. Some of the, it's usually a little windy. Yep. A lot of the great shots. You've got some really signature holes. Just a few of them on that course. Mm-hmm. And I'm disappointed that we won't get to see it. I understand the reasoning. It's unfortunate, but just we move on, Terry. Like a bad breakup. Just move on. Let's, this will be our rebound.
Okay. Well, some people are messaging on the board saying, of course, San Francisco inherently is, the first or second most expensive city in the country to visit and to be in. And so that's certainly plays into a challenge of a disc golfer. Everything is more expensive when you're there. So I don't know if that was specifically what factored in. If Stockton just, so to speak, had an offer and a course and the perfect venue that wooed it over and it made it a no-brainer.
I think part of it was, I know the Pro Tour has been looking for an alternate to Glen Eagles just in case.
Okay.
Like they're not sold. They didn't know what was going on. They didn't know what's going on in San Francisco in general, what the rules and legalities are going to be. And with OTB being out of Stockton, it kind of makes sense to tie it all together. Now, I don't know which came first, chicken or the egg, if OTB was the sponsor no matter where it was going to be, or if they looked at Stockton and OTB said, well, that's our backyard. Let's pony up.
Yeah, I couldn't speak to, and maybe we'll have to talk to, I think having Sean on, actually sooner than later, not just with this, but just in general, would probably be a good idea. But it is the OTB Open presented by Innova.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know anything about the actual course they're playing. We'll find out. One way or another. I had something else at the tip of my tongue that I can't recall now. So, you got anything else for us?
Everybody get ready. Fantasy Disc Golf is coming back. I've got my web developer working on a new design. I think it's going to be a little bit easier to follow. A couple little upgrades that we've done. It used to be when you kind of set your yearly schedule, it was set. Now this off season, we've made some changes to the programming to allow you to edit individual events on your tour. So if you have 15 events and one of them, local events, maybe one of them, there's no FPL players signed up. It used to be, well, that's unfortunate because we were kind of locked into having 4 MPO and 2 FPO or whatever. Now you can go in and edit individual events based on if you want 6 or 8 MPO players and no FPO players for one event and a salary cap of 5,000 points, you can make all those individual adjustments as a commissioner. So that was kind of the big thing this offseason, was making real micromanagement changes for our commissioners that do run these leagues. And I guess it's not a secret because I kind of put it on the website subtly. Dynamic Discs is going to be a sponsor this year. We've had Infinite Discs in the past, and this year Dynamic stepped up and said, hey, we'd like to sponsor. So we're going to be giving away Dynamic Discs gift certificates in our primary Skip Ace League, which is now, the Skip Ace League presented by Dynamic Discs. So I think they're going to be dropping some gift certificates to all of our winners each week. And we'll know more about that in the next couple of weeks, but I'm hoping that the website design is done by the end of this week. I already got some preliminary sketches of it and some font decisions, and everything's looking pretty good so far. So if you're into fantasy disc golf, you can go to skipace.com and join the club. If when you sign up, it's not there, just put in join a league and type in SKIP, and you can be part of the generic standard Skip Ace League. Sometimes it joins you automatically, and I can't quite figure out why it doesn't. But if it's not there for you, SKIP.
Johnny V's like the Tom of MySpace. Like, you're automatically in that league. You're Tom's friend now over at MySpace. Yeah,
that's right. That's right.
Perfect. Cody had a great idea, kind of playing on a thread of mine, saying a tourney idea that I kind of touched on earlier with the giveaway. Have an unsanctioned tourney. Every piece of trash you collect, you get a mulligan. Could really clean up a course. Imagine having hundreds of these events throughout the year, brand it, make it a real thing. There's an idea there. I mean, you have to fine tune, of course, a few details, but generically speaking, like, call it the, clean, hashtag clean the sport or clean your course challenge or challenges, clean your course challenges. You got to get alliteration in there somewhere, right? Yeah, there's an idea there. And I know, that kind of brings in what we're seeing right now. Ice bowls are happening around the country. I know. I feel like that, although that has maybe weaned a little bit throughout the last few years, I know it's still happening.
Are you playing the ice bowl locally?
No.
Okay.
I was going to say raising money for food banks and for shelters and doing all those types of things. I know that Dynamic Disc and I think Prodigy are both doing events that are related to veterans and in some support of our veterans out there. So I feel like, yeah, there's a lot of good ideas that could be branded, and then there could be an entire campaign built around them, or it could be fully developed, and maybe it's local, or maybe it does go nation or worldwide. But yeah, there's some good ideas there for sure.
Well, let's wrap it up for tonight, Tara.
All right. Sick of you people.
334.
Veterans for vets. Yeah, there you go. All right, guys. As always, we have to thank you guys all for tuning in, playing along with us here tonight. We love it when you interact with us. We'd love to see, not that we don't love everyone already on the chat board, but we see a lot of you people. So we'd love to see even more of you interacting with us on the chat board. We appreciate you guys all. And if you're listening after the fact, thank you guys so much. The fact that you people hit play and it's just 3 hours and 9 minutes total or whatever the case is, that's beyond me. But we do appreciate it. We appreciate all of our supporters, all of our sponsors, far and wide, as well as our Patreon supporters. So for Johnny V and myself, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, this has been Podcast 334's After Show. We got some sweet stuff all lined up for you next week. And we'll see you then when you step inside the Smash Box.